Can you all hear us now? I want to wait until we hear it.
They can hear us. I can see it. That was my fault. This is our very first live stream. We're expecting a few technical difficulties tonight, but thank you for all letting us know in the chat that there was no sound. You should all be hearing us loud and clear.
You're sure there's sound now? I want confirmation. Still no sound? I hear it. I see a yay. Does that mean sound?
One moment. They'll say yes. No audio. You are muted. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we're on a little bit of a delay between here
From
and YouTube.
the top. From the top.
Our script is already blown to pieces.
Go.
Good evening, everybody.
Welcome to the Mystery Box Show, live streaming here from our living room in Portland, Oregon. Welcome.
My name is Eric.
And I'm Reba. We will be your hosts this evening.
Before we go forward, we just want to say, if anybody out there listening is on the front lines, any hospital staff, doctors, nurses, essential workers, thank you so much for everything you're doing to keep us safe and cared for right now.
Cheers to you. We are in our living room venue right now with our beverage of choice. We have the fireplace going. We're comfy on our couch. We hope that you are in a similar place of comfort to enjoy the show this evening.
Absolutely. We already see so many people joining in the chat and telling us where you're from. Let us know where you're from.
Where are you tuning in from? I know that this chat's been going on since before we even went live here. So we know I know for sure my best friend Amy and her husband JD are tuning in from Colorado, for instance. Our friend Nico in Argentina is on. I know we've got folks in London that are here, which is amazing. Where in the world are you tuning in from? If you're in the United States, let us know. We want to see in the chats here where you're coming in from.
Speaking of the chats, thank you, Michelle, and I want to say, I saw it go by early, Kristen, B, and Coy, for the super chats. That is a thing that we've enacted here on YouTube. We want to talk a little bit about what's going on since this is our first live stream. We also want to say, as far as the chat's concerned, we also have monitoring the chat our production assistant, the incredible Nicole Perkins. We're going to bring her on camera for just a moment here. This is Nicole.
Give us a wave, Nicole.
This is Nicole, who's been with us for over 5 years at this point. Or is it 5 years this coming December? It is. So Nicole's going to be responding to everybody in the chats when we are not. But like I said, so Nicole, I'm going to take you off, and it's back to us here.
Oh my gosh, we have people tuning in from Maui, Salem, Oregon,
Holy
from Portland,
cow.
Woodstock, Anchorage,
From Ontario,
Canada, New Mexico, Montana, from Long Island, New York, Long Island, I can't do it.
Long Island.
Long Island. Eric's mom is from Rhode Island.
She's from Rhode Island. It's not even the same.
They're both islands. I'm just kidding. From New York, New Mexico, Portland, Clackamas.
Oh, Chris, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's talk a little bit about the super chats. So as you may see that there's an option in the chat window to do a super chat, which is a way of donating money to the Mystery Box Show. Obviously, we make our living doing the show, and one of the biggest groups of people being hit hardest right now is performers and people who rely on ticket sales to make their livings. So everybody giving super chats that's super generous, and we've actually decided we're going to do a thing tonight. So we're going to set a level of $250 goal for super chats. Every $250 we earn in super chats, Reba is going to pull from her wide variety of costume pieces. Reba has an extensive costume room. She's going to put one on, and it will remain there for the rest of the show. This is cumulative. So for every $250 we earn, that is what is going to be the reward visually for everybody.
Yes. Thank you, Eric. I'm excited about that, and thank you everyone who's contributed to the super chat so far. For those of you who are tuning in right now, if this is your very first time tuning into the Mystery Box show, let us know. Or if you've been to the show before, if you know us from YouTube, or if you've exclusively, or if you've been to a live show before, let us know in the comments. But I want to give you an idea of what's going on here tonight. You're at a storytelling show. We have 4 storytellers this evening who've been working very hard to bring you true personal stories from their lives, so their personal narratives, all about sex. So we know that when it comes to the topic of sex, some subjects may be more sensitive than others. So we want you to consider this a blanket trigger warning. So please take care of yourselves accordingly.
Absolutely. By the way, Kay, thank you very much for the super chat there. We love you too. So not only is this show our very, very first live stream, this is actually our 8-year anniversary. We started doing this show in April of 2012. Can't believe it's been going on for that long. And that there have been so many people who have joined us along the way, so many people who stuck with us right from the beginning. So thank you all for being here, no matter when you've discovered us. Catherine, Catherine, thank you so much for the super chat. It's great to see you here. So this is our anniversary show, 8 years of doing the Mystery Box show here in Portland, and now taking it worldwide. Also coming up in the show, like Reba said, we have some fantastic storytellers, and we're also going to have an opportunity for you all to tell us something a little bit about yourselves. For those who've been to the live show before, you know what this is like, but this is going to be a brand new thing we'll talk about a little later in the show.
Mm-hmm. And before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to our live stream sponsors, without whom none of this would be possible today. They're still supporting us in the midst of this pandemic, which is just amazing amazing of them. I want to give a big shout out to Missionary Chocolates. They are my favorite. Dr. Made by Dr. Melissa Berry. They are vegan and gluten-free truffles, and they have the most decadent, amazing, treat yourself truffles in the world. So Missionary Chocolates is a sponsor of ours today. They are still shipping. They're shipping. Go to their website, missionarychocolates.com. I also want to give a big shout out to Clone-A-Willy. If you haven't heard of them before, it's exactly what it sounds like. You can clone your favorite penis. They also, or not your favorite, just any penis for that matter. You can clone it. They also have Clone-A-Pussy kits, so you can clone some vulvas as well. This is a fun quarantine activity if you're looking for things to do. Clone-A-Willy.com. I also want to give a huge thank you to Shebop, who has been our very first sponsor from the very beginning of the show. They've been with us for a full 8 years. And they actually have a discount code for all of our live stream audience right now. They are a female-friendly sex toy boutique. They have an online store and online classes that you can take from anywhere in the world. And they are offering a 15% off. And I believe that is on the screen right now with code MysteryBox1. If you use that, you can get 15% off of their products and of their classes. In addition to Fun Factory, which is my personal favorite sex toy company. We're going to do a giveaway from Fun Factory later on in the show. So all of you here are eligible to win. Eric will tell you how later on in the show. But the Fun Factory is also offering 20% off on their website at funfactory.com with code MysteryBox.
Absolutely. Just want to take another moment to thank everybody for the super chats that are coming in. Patrick, Double Diva, Chantel, Josh, Mala, Richard, and John. Richard, you say you still can't hear anything. I think that issue has been solved on our end, so you may want to check what audio is going to your speakers. But hopefully you'll get that worked out because, Jennifer, oh my goodness, thank you very much.
Wow, thank you.
This really means a great deal to us because the future of the Mystery Box show is a little bit uncertain at this point, as it is with many performing shows. So this really means a lot to you, to us.
Clifton says, hello from Portsmouth, Virginia. My wife and I are watching. I hope this is date night for many of you, even if you're by yourself. Date night for one. Thank you for joining.
Well, okay, so I'm going to take the sponsor information off the camera for the moment, but the codes will be up back later in the show, and you can also see them in the video description. But for now, it's time to start the stories. We're a storytelling show after all. Our first story tonight comes from none other than our very wonderful, very beautiful executive producer. Folks, will you all please at home put your hands together for the delightful Reba Sparrow.
I couldn't wait to see my friend Beth so that I could tell her I had lost my virginity before she did. This was the summer of 1998. I was 19 years old, and I had had sex with one person once. So of course this meant that I knew everything there was to know about sex, and I was eager to educate my friend Beth on how it was done, and I wanted to brag. So I get to Beth's apartment. I haven't seen her all summer long. We embrace, and I say, Beth, it's so good to see you. I have really big news. And she says, oh my gosh, I have really big news too, me first. And I was like, no, me. And she's like, no, me. And then she says to me, I have a boyfriend, and we have been having sex all summer long, nonstop. And I was like, cool. It's really great. I'm really happy for you. Tell me all about it. So she proceeds to tell me that their relationship is based entirely on sex, and they're having sex in her bedroom, as I might have expected, but they're also having sex other places, like the living room couch. They're having sex on the kitchen counters. They're even having sex outside. This is all like completely foreign to me. And then she tells me that their favorite place to have sex is in the passenger seat of his car, where he proceeds to go down on her. And in my mind, I was thinking, what? Boys go down on girls? Like I literally had no idea. I had never watched porn before. I had never heard other people talk about their sexual experiences. I knew nothing about sex. And so I was like, wow, Beth, that's so cool and so weird, because I too have been having sex all summer long. Which was a total lie. Remember, I had had sex with one person once, and she was like, no way. How amazing that we've been going through this together. Tell me about your experience. And I was like, well, as a matter of fact, I just had sex last week, which was true. And it lasted like all day long, for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And she said, really? Like, how long? And I said, oh, like 9 hours. And she said, oh my gosh, like that's never happened for me and my boyfriend before. And I was like, I'm about to one up this bitch. All lies, keep in mind. And I said, oh yeah, I had like tons and tons of orgasms, which, mind you, I knew from masturbating that I was capable of multiple orgasms, like 2, maybe, if I concentrated really hard. But I told her I had like 1 million. And then she said, wow, well, what about the guy you were with? Like, how many times did he come? And I was like, oh, in 9 hours, like 10, 11, 12 times. Mind you, I had never heard of a refractory period before. I didn't know how sex worked. And Beth, in her 3 months of having sex, was way more experienced than me, who had had sex once. And she knew that I was lying. Because she's kind, she sort of dropped the subject and we kind of just stopped talking about it. 15 years later, I meet Nate. And I cannot wait to get into Nate's pants. He is this adorable person with this wavy brown hair and these sea green eyes. And my favorite thing about Nate was that he was a lawyer who quit practicing law so that he could pursue his dreams of brewing beer. I know that sounds like sarcasm, but he actually was just really all about joy and the pursuit of it, and I found that very attractive. So for our first date, he said to me, would you like to come back to my place so you can taste my latest homebrew? And of course, I immediately say yes, because I think I do the math, and alcohol plus Nate probably equals sex, and that's what I want. So we go to Nate's place, and he offers me his latest homebrew, which is a ghost pepper and citrus beer. If that sounds delicious to you, awesome. So no offense, but to me, I was like, oh, but I really wanted to have sex with this guy. So I was like, sounds great. Let me drink your beer. So we sit down on his couch together. I think there was a movie playing in the background, but we're just chatting. And I'm slowly nursing this beer because it's gross. And I'm just like staring at him, dreaming about fucking him, to be honest. And he is drinking beer after beer after beer. And it occurs to me, I don't really know this guy. I don't know what his alcohol tolerance is. And I start to think, gosh, at what point is he going to be so inebriated that he can't get an erection? That's a thing. So as I'm thinking this, Nate just stops and he stares deep into my eyes and he says, may I kiss you? And I don't even say yes. I just put my face on his face. And we're just like frantically making out at this point. And pretty soon he starts feeling me up and he's groping me. And I put my hands down his pants because I want to test. I put my hands down his pants and he's definitely hard. And I think, yes, it's not too late. And suddenly, our clothes are just flying off. And he reaches down between the couch cushions and he pulls out a condom. And I was like, wow, this guy is adorable and resourceful. And I help him put it on because I think that's polite. And then I climb on top of him. We're on the couch, mind you. I climb on top of him and I just ride him. And it's really good. Usually for me, there's some sort of learning curve when I'm having sex with a person for a first time, but this just seemed to flow really nicely and it went really well. And I was so turned on and he was turned on and we just both reached climax almost simultaneously. And I was like, wow, that was worth the beer. And I get off of him and I go to pick up my dress that's on the floor and I stand up because I'm going to put it on. And Nate slaps it out of my hand. And I turn to him dramatically and he grabs my hand and he leads me down a hallway into his bedroom. And I was a little confused because I was like, wait, we just had sex. Aren't we done? And is this happening again? What's going on? We walk into his bedroom and I'm super amused and delighted because before me, I see he has taken 2 queen-sized mattresses and sandwiched them together to just make one giant room full of bed. And I get to the edge of it and Nate just sort of playfully pushes me down on the bed and I go, wee! And I was like, oh my gosh, I guess we are doing this again. We just had sex 5 minutes ago, doing it again. Okay, I've never had this experience before. And Nate gets down on his knees and he spreads my legs and he just face plants and goes to town. And I was like, whoa, this guy has got some skill. And I think, okay, all right, maybe if I concentrate and I just be in the moment, I'm going to be able to have another orgasm because I know I can do this. And so he's just going to town. And I'm so turned on and I'm so excited. This is so fun for me that I reach climax again. And I was like, wow, go me. And I look up at Nate, who's just standing there totally, nude in front of me. And he's very turned on by just watching me have an orgasm. And he starts to stroke himself. And I was like, really? Wow. As an adult, I hadn't experienced someone who could get hard that quickly after having reached orgasm. So I was like, okay, where's this gonna go? And he just is just jerking himself off, and he's looking down at me just with those sea green eyes. And I felt so adored. And all of a sudden he's like ejaculating and it's getting on me. It goes down my leg. And I was like, holy shit. We are like, this is some sort of magical thing that's happening. And we are like a sexy power couple is what I thought. And Nate climbs onto the beds next to me, and he says, would you be comfortable staying the night? And by this point, it's like 11:30 at night. I'm exhausted, folks. Like, I just orgasmed twice in a row. I'm pretty tired, and it's late at night. And I think, okay, yeah, I actually would like to stay the night. So I lie down on the one of the mattresses, and Nate comes up behind me and he's spooning me. It's really lovely, and I start to drift off. And maybe 15 or 20 minutes go by. I'm not fully asleep yet, and I'm startled awake by Nate's erect penis poking me in the back. And my eyes like pop open and I was like, no, is this a thing that's really happening? How can this be happening? And I'm not super familiar with him. We don't know each other. So it's not like I can turn around and be like, what the fuck, dude? How are you hard again already? I had never experienced it before. And I was super curious to see like, what could possibly happen? It was almost like a dare and a challenge. So I roll over and I face him and I give him permission to come on in. And he pulls a condom from between the mattresses. And I was like, OMG. Yeah, this guy's very resourceful, and I think he probably has a lot of sex. This time he puts the condom on himself and he gets on top of me, and we're just having sex again all of a sudden. And to be clear, I was done for the evening. I wasn't wet. I wasn't really turned on. This was with my full consent. So but I wasn't necessarily physically turned on as much as I was mentally curious as to how this was happening and like why and what's going on. I just had never been with a person who A, wanted to have sex with me this much, and B, who was physically capable of doing it. So I'm just like in awe and wonder and like letting it happen. And Nate just fucking comes again. And I was like, I need a moment. So I say to him, you know what? I should probably get cleaned up because I still have his cum on my leg from section number 2. So I excuse myself to the restroom, and it's through the kitchen. And when I come back through the kitchen, Nate is standing there, fully nude, holding a pint of beer. And he hands it to me. I'm also still fully naked. And I don't want to take it because I don't like the beer. But I'm like, gosh, he's just so cute. And also, like, what is happening? He hands me the beer and I take a sip. And I kid you not, I see his flaccid penis start to rise and get just visibly hard right there in front of me. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And he says to me, you look so hot drinking my beer. And I'm like, hold on, did I actually just fall asleep and I'm dreaming all of this? Or perhaps did I manifest this when I was 19? What is going on? I don't think that I can physically take this right now, but like mentally, emotionally, I have to take this right now. So I give Nate permission to bend me over the kitchen counter, and he pulls a condom from God knows where, and he just starts fucking me from behind. And at this point, fully consented, I'm a little raw and it's a little bit painful, but I can take it. Tears are just streaming down my face, and I'm like, this is just never happened to me before. I can't even understand what's going on. And while that's what was going on in my head as I'm getting fucked from behind, and I hear what seems to be orgasm sounds coming from Nate, and I was like, no way, dude, no way. But he finishes, and he pulls out, and he takes the condom off, throws it somewhere, I don't know. And I think if I stay the night, I'm going to die. So I say to Nate, on second thought, this has been so great, but I have a really early morning. Total lies. I should probably get going. And Nate was totally cool with this. He was like, oh, I totally understand. You're so wonderful. This was so great. Let's do it again. And he helps escort me up the stairs to the front door. And by like helps escort me, I mean, I was like wobbling. I was like sore trying to get up the stairs and just so confused. And for many different reasons, I didn't end up seeing Nate again. So I never got to ask him, because it's kind of a sensitive subject too. I didn't want to feel like I was shaming him or anything, because there was no shame in this. I was just like, what the fuck is happening? I've never experienced this before. I never got to ask him, what was that? And so much to the chagrin of my 19-year-old self, I still don't know what happened. I still have no idea how sex works. Thankfully, there are people in the world who do know how sex works, like the fine folks at Shebop, who I mentioned earlier. You want to put them up on the screen, Eric?
Absolutely.
They have classes streaming right now, and most of their products online at sheboptheshop.com for 15% off. In fact, I should probably ask them if they have a class explaining to me what the hell happened. I know there are lots of theories out there, and I would love to hear what your theories are in the chats here. Additionally, I don't think we mentioned at the top of the show, there's going to be an after party when the show is finished.
Oh, yeah.
That all of you are welcome to stay on chat, and you can talk to all of the storytellers and us. We'll keep that after party going for probably about an hour after the show, and we can answer all your questions and talk about your comments and hear all the things.
Absolutely. It was super, super difficult to be here in the room, hear Reba tell that story, and not just chuckle out laughing. Thank you so much to everybody for being here. Do you want to read some names? It looks like it looks like we. I think Nicole's been texting you.
Gotcha.
So thank you so much for everybody who's been sending in those super chats. And another $5 from B. Thank you so very much. For those who are just tuning in, you are watching. Oh,
it's time for me to put on costumes.
So for those who are just tuning in, you're watching the Mystery Box Show. We're telling true stories all about sex. And Reba is wearing a clown nose. And you might ask yourself, why is Reba wearing a clown nose? Well, if you haven't heard, for every super chat, for every $250 in super chats that we receive, Reba is going to pull from her wide variety of costume pieces.
I want to give a shout out to the people who have contributed. So B, thank you very much. Kristen Wright, Patrick, sorry, am I not supposed to read last names? Double Diva, Josh, Todd, Sarah, Cliff, Good Girls Talk, Rachel. Gosh, we're almost at a $500 mark. Many theories say wizardry is the theory. Wizardry, good call.
Ooh.
You know, I have heard people say, I hope it's okay to call you out. My best friend in Boulder was like, Viagra, duh. because she's had experiences with Viagra like that. But my experiences with Viagra were that it can get you hard, but you don't necessarily ejaculate that many times. As a reminder, if we hit $500, I'm gonna put on some more accessories.
All right. Shall we keep the show rolling?
How much are we at now, donation-wise?
That's-
T English wants to know. I
that's a
think
great
Nicole
question.
is keeping track.
Yeah, Nicole, can you? We
Aw.
are at $4.40 right now.
B just donated another $5. She says, for your poor raw. I think she means my lady's own. Thank you, darling. B is my wife. If that confuses you, it's okay. She's my wife. Last name is fine. I have it on my handle. Okay, thank you. If your last name is on your handle, I'll say it. If not, it's not. Okay.
We're
cool.
we're almost at 2 costume pieces T English. We're nearly there. But yeah, shall we move on?
Let's move on. We've got another storyteller for you. We're very excited, actually. This next storyteller has shared 3 previous stories with us before. We just can't get enough of her. So this is her first time live streaming with us, of course, but she's just fantastic. So always a delight. Please welcome into your homes the fabulous Dolly Dagger. Dolly, can you hear us?
Yes.
Dolly, sorry about this.
Are you muted?
No,
Um,
I am not muted.
okay, hang on, everybody. We are going to figure this out.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you for all letting us know, everybody. We are learning as we go. Dolly, can you say just a couple of words here?
Greta the tittle tattle prattled on about the little metal bottle.
Terrific. No sound from Dolly. I wonder why that is the case.
Usually I'm too loud.
It says mute.
That means if we want to mute her, that's that. Dolly, are you certain that you're not muted? Oh, well, I mean, we can hear you, so...
No, I'm not muted. It's
Okay.
not muted.
Okay, we're going to...
Okay, well, let's try something else.
No, Dolly, let us handle this. I think we have a solution. We're going to use our audio.
It's giving me audio right there. So
Okay, is that okay? All right, we're gonna put Dolly back on screen, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience. Here we go.
all
Get confirmation
Shall I
that we
do a
can hear
test?
Dolly?
yes.
Okay, so everybody should be able to hear you, Dolly.
Dolly, can you hear me, Dolly?
I can hear you.
I'm gonna tell you to go as soon as we get confirmation that everyone
Okay.
can hear you. So just one moment.
Position 1.
There's a short delay. We can hear you now. Okay, Dolly, please begin again. More Dolly Dagger, everyone. Whenever you're ready, Dolly.
A couple of hours after I had taken the hallucinogenic mushrooms, I was sitting on my couch, wearing shorts and a t-shirt with no makeup on, and I wondered, what would I look like if I were to get dolled up while I was tumbling down the rabbit hole? I had had experiences where I had taken shrooms while being dressed in drag, but I had never gotten ready while all of those delicious, shroomy, creative juices were flowing. So I thought, why not? After all, it's a Friday, and I had no plans. And if I didn't like how I turned out, I could always take my makeup off and go play laser tag. And remember, this whole story happened because I literally had nothing better to do with my evening. After removing my body hair and shaving my face, I started to do my makeup. Ever since I first started to learn how to do my makeup about 15 years prior, the way that I had painted my face had changed very little up till this point. But the dreams were telling me that I should try something new, and that I shouldn't be held back by the limitations that I had imposed upon myself. These limitations had served me well for many years, and I never wanted to mess with a good thing, but on this particular evening, I was comfortable with the possibility that I might fail in my endeavors. So I applied my eyeshadow more garishly. I painted my eyebrows on like a Disney villain would. I made my lips fuller, and I drew these thick curls on either side of my face, making me look like a German cabaret dancer, and this was by far the best makeup job I had ever done while I was shrooming. And you can believe that it was the best. Believe me when I say it was the best makeup job that I had ever done, because I, without a doubt, am my own artist. This immaculate makeup had been the result of practicing for hours and hours alone in my room when I was a poor, young, isolated thing, doing my makeup, hating how I looked, wiping it away, and starting again several times over. By the way, if any of you who are watching at home are doing the exact same thing in an attempt to improve your own makeup abilities, do yourself a favor, honey, moisturize. As I looked at the unfamiliar face in the mirror, I recalled that once a friend of mine had told me that I made an ugly woman. Yeah, this was a friend, mind you. And these words would influence the way that I thought for many years. And whenever I would go out dressed up, there would inevitably be somebody who would come up to me and say, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful," but I wouldn't hear that. What I would hear them say was, "Oh my God, you are so good at doing your makeup." I didn't feel beautiful, so their compliments always fell on deaf ears. Students were forcing me to look at myself from a different perspective. And I thought, oh, so this is what people see when they look at me. I was able to look at myself through other people's eyes. And it felt like at last this makeup wasn't me covering up who I am, but it is a manifestation of who I am. And at last it was like what I was presenting on the outside was a reflection of what I felt on the inside. And I realized what a powerful feeling it is to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and be genuinely attracted to who you see. My makeup was perfect, and now I needed the perfect outfit to complement. While I was stumbling through my wardrobe, I remembered that one of the first times that I went out dressed in drag, I wore a top that left my shoulders exposed. And a man came up to me and said, "You look great, but your shoulders give you away." And I wasn't upset by this criticism. I took it to heart. I wanted to be taken as a cisgendered woman. It was, I felt, the best way of avoiding making myself a target of scorn. I wanted to hide the fact that I was male when I was dressed in drag. It was the opposite side of the coin to my masculinity, wanting to hide the fact that I cross-dressed. So I came up with all of these rules for myself. I always covered up my shoulders. I always wore a tightly cinched corset. I firmly tucked my cock and balls between my legs. I only ever wore high heels, etc. And as good as I might have looked by imposing these rules, it got pretty damn uncomfortable at times. And I thought, you know what? I have worked very hard for most of my life to not live my life by the constraints of the rules of other people. So tonight, I'm going to break a few of my own rules. I decided to wear my strappy fetish wear harness that left my shoulders exposed, thank you very much. My shiny knee-high combat boots. A pair of male-cut panties that were just as strappy as my harness. And this bad-ass field officer's hat that I just recently purchased. And I looked like I wanted to fight or fuck the entire world. And one way or the other, the world would be going home with a limp. It felt like my masculine and feminine side had melted into one. And for the first time, they weren't trying to hide the fact that the other existed. And I looked at myself, and I said some words that had been very hard to come by for most of my life. I'm so proud of myself. I'm so beautiful. I love myself. It quickly dawned on me that it would be incredibly selfish if I were to just stay home and not share myself with the outside world. And if I seem arrogant, please understand that I had spent most of my life in a self-deprecating downward spiral. Whether I was presenting as masculine or feminine, it was incredibly rare that I ever saw myself as attractive, so I was going to take advantage of this feeling while the getting was good. And of course, I brought some more shrooms with me to take throughout the evening because I intended to ride this fabulous wave for all it was worth. I wound up at my home away from home, my favorite sex club, the Velvet Rope. I go for the food. After a brief conversation with the people at the front counter about how I never realized what an amazing shade of blue the ceiling was painted, they told me that I looked incredible, and I said, I know, isn't it great? I'm really proud of myself tonight. The shrooms actually gave me the courage to agree with somebody when they complimented me. The club pulsed with sexuality, and it was like I could wrap the atmosphere around me like a warm silk bathrobe. The beautiful lights were just dancing all around. Smoke from the fog machine carried me across the room, and all eyes turned my way. Funny. It used to make me incredibly insecure when people would stare at me, and now I was savoring it like a fine wine. Now, this might come as a shock, but I am an incredibly shy person. The only thing that I found more difficult than accepting a compliment was having a conversation. But like I said, I was out to break a few of my own rules this evening. I mean, not only had I come out of my shell, but my shell was now ground down to a fine, snortable powder. I decided that I would engage people for once. I mean, everybody looked incredibly beautiful and interesting when I was shrooming my ass off, so why not? And I noticed that with every conversation that I was having, no matter who I was talking to, they all seemed very pleased that I was so openly conversing with them. This was altogether new. I had a well-deserved reputation for clamming up and awkwardly leaving any encounter that I happened to be in. And it was very refreshing to understand finally that I had absolutely nothing to gain from my shyness, and that my insecurities seemed entirely unfounded. And even if they were founded, I couldn't care less. my confidence became a perpetual self-powered machine. I was so confident that I went and had a threesome. A lovely man that I was talking to asked me if I would meet his wife. That's MEAT, his wife. And I was more than happy to oblige. After the explosive conclusion of that encounter, I was feeling pretty good. I decided that this was a feeling that I wanted to chase. So I went and had another threesome with 2 other people who were there that evening. I wasn't kidding when I said I wanted to fuck the entire world, and it seemed like I was now off to a pretty good start. After recreating a couple of scenes from the movie Caligula, I really had to urinate. And when I was in the bathroom, I caught my reflection in the mirror. Sometimes when you're on shrooms, you'll hear echoes of things in your head. And as I looked at myself, I heard those hard-won words that I had spoken to myself earlier. I'm so proud of myself. I'm so beautiful. I love myself. These words just kept coming faster and faster and louder like a locomotive. I'm so proud of myself. I'm so beautiful. I love myself. For the 15 years that I had been cross-dressing, I had wanted these words to come with ease. And now not only were they coming easy, but they wouldn't stop. I just kept hearing, I'm so proud of myself. I'm so beautiful. I love myself. I couldn't stop myself from crying. Tears cascaded down my cheeks as I was becoming overwhelmed with emotion. And I decided to retreat to one of the Velvet Rope's private rooms where I could just be alone for a few minutes and sit and think. This felt like it was going to be a very important moment in my life. So I decided to commit fully to everything that my brain was telling me to feel. And at the very center of my feelings was the conclusion that everything that has happened in my life has been worth it. Every struggle that I have had when it comes to cross-dressing has led me to this night, and it has been worth it. Like turning bright red in a shoe store when someone would catch me looking longingly at the high heels. Walking down the makeup aisle at a department store, wishing that I had the nerve to stop and pick out a new shade of lipstick. The belittling comments that I would get from people that I considered my friends. The angry and threatening, violent threats that I would receive from people who I didn't know, but who felt like they knew me well enough to believe that I deserved their wrath. But no one could hurt me the way that I hurt myself. It was rather empowering, knowing that I could hurt my feelings like none other, because suddenly the insults from the outside world just didn't seem that bad. For most of my life, I have hated how I looked. I have hated my awkwardness, and I considered myself very difficult to love. But on that night, I knew it had been worth it. Not only had it been worth it, but it had been essential. It made me who I am. I loved myself, and I loved the life that I was living. I wanted the whole world to feel the same way. When I had run out of tears, I looked at myself in the mirror again, And it was at this point that I was incredibly grateful to the lovely young lady who worked at the makeup counter that talked me into buying the waterproof eyeliner, because I swear to God, it didn't move. For all the tears that I cried, it was perfect. I could have wound up looking like Ollie Faye Baker. But no, not even my tears could stop me from being fabulous. Which I think is a pretty damn good philosophy. I'm going to needlepoint that on a pillow someday. I had been gradually taking more and more shrooms throughout the evening, and by the time I looked at the clock and did a few calculations, I realized I had been tripping for about 12 hours. I decided it was time to go home. As I sat in the back of the lift car, I kept saying to myself, what a journey. What a journey. I wasn't entirely sure if I was talking about the adventures in Wonderland that I had just had, or if I was talking about the life that I had lived. But one way or the other, it was quite a journey. When I got back to my apartment, I took my fetish wear off while doing my best to not fall over, and I wiped away my makeup. Normally, when I had removed my makeup, I felt a pang of disappointment, like I was turning into somebody less interesting or less confident. But I felt wiser than I had previously been. Shrooms can make you look at things from a different perspective, and though they may have been the catalyst for me seeing myself in a more positive light, I knew I didn't need them to feel that way. I looked at myself, stripped of all of my fabulousness, and I said, I'm so proud of myself. I'm so beautiful. I love myself. Thank you.
Wow.
Dolly Dagger, everyone.
Holy cow.
You can see why she's been on our show a multitude of times with her fantastic storytelling. We hope you're enjoying the show so far. We have a couple more storytellers for you here this evening. And we are live streaming right now. So text your friends, let them know to join on. Thank you to everyone who has been participating and contributing through the super chats. As you can see, every time we hit 250, I put on an accessory, and we have hit the second benchmark. So I'm going to put on these Dame Edna glasses I got going on here. My clowns and my Dame Ednas. If we hit $750, y'all, you don't even know. You don't even know what's going to happen. We're at about $600 now, so $150 more, and I'm going to add shit's going to get real.
Dolly, we're seeing in the chat right now, people are applauding for you so much. We don't know if you're seeing the chat, but people are loving it. I also saw somebody in the chat asking whether this is going to be available for replay, because a friend of theirs could really use to hear Dolly's story, and they're at work right now. Yes, this is going to be available for the replay. We were kind of just like, the Mystery Box Show is my primary source of income. It's my full-time job, and I'm essentially out a job right now while we can't gather, and we decided to offer this live stream for free, even though I don't have an income right now. Eric and I really believe in the power of giving, especially right now when folks need a little pick-me-up, and it's really like, what's the point of life if we can't connect with each other and establish a sense of community? And that's really what we're trying to do right now, and I hope you're taking me very seriously with my clown nose. So yes, we're definitely going to have the live stream available for you to rewatch. In fact, my brother just texted me and said that his husband has some boundary issues and doesn't want to hear me talk about sex stories, which I completely respect. So my brother's going to watch it later because he has no boundaries. Anyway, but I saw that my niece Cheyenne has tuned in, and that makes me very happy. And my sister, her mom is here too. So thanks, family. My BFF Amy is here. My Portland BFF Christina is here.
Kyle is here. All these people are here. I saw Catherine Custard, who's been a fan of the show since the very beginning for 8 full years. As a reminder, this is our 8-year anniversary show.
Pooja is here. Kat Hannah, who joined us the other day for our little test live stream. Double Diva, thank you for the super chat. Thank you to everybody who's been super chatting. We'll hopefully get your names so we can say them out loud. By the way, so like Reba was saying, especially in this time when people who are performers, we rely on ticket sales for our incomes, basically to keep the show rolling. And like Reba was saying, of course, the live stream is free. But if you feel called to contribute beyond the super chats, you can go to mysteryboxshow.com and find the link to our Patreon. And I'm going to put up this link right now. If you don't know about Patreon, Patreon is a way that you can support your favorite creators, basically by becoming a monthly patron. Do you want to talk about this a little bit?
I do. And depending on what tier, you could contribute $3 a month, or you can contribute $25 a month or more, or somewhere in between. And depending on what tier you contribute on, you can hear. So I tell a story at every single one of our live shows. I only have 2 stories on YouTube, but you can, depending on what tier you are on Patreon, you can hear all of my stories. You're also eligible for some sweet Mystery Box Show merch. I'm going to bring this closer. This is a travel mug that's got our logo on it and on the back. I freaking love this thing. I drink out of it even when I'm not traveling because it keeps things hot. I kid you not. I'll put tea in it at nighttime, go to bed, wake up in the morning, and the tea is still hot. This thing's the bomb. We've got some other Mystery Box Show merch.
We have these lapel pins. I don't know if this is getting close to the camera. It's probably not in focus. There we go. Kind of in focus there. These beautiful lapel pins with our birds and bees, because of course the Mystery Box Show is all about the birds and the bees.
Isn't that cute? Get the bag.
Oh, okay. So on our Patreon, there are levels that allow you to get some of the merch or get some behind the scenes info, things like that.
This is a pretty sweet canvas bag, and when we're not afraid of viruses anymore, these make really great grocery bags, and all the things.
Jason and Tara, thank you so much for the super chat. Rose, we saw you super chat too. Thank you so very, very much. We so appreciate you.
So Patreon is one way that you can show your support if you feel called to do so. Another way is if you go to our website.
Wait, actually, I want to talk about Patreon just a little bit more for
one
moment.
Keep it going.
Because we're so grateful for the people who give to us on Patreon, and we know that some of them are here right now, and we wanted to just share the names of people who are with us on Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see your name here, I can read these out loud.
Can you?
Amelia, Andrew, Brienne, Brian, Carter, Christopher, Ed, Eleanor, Gabrielle, Jennifer, John, Kay, Kimberly. Sorry, you're seeing the top of my head right here. Kristen, Larry, Lee, Melissa, Nicholas, Nick, Oz, Paul, Rhino71. I'm assuming that's not your given name, but Rhino71 is awesome. Scott, Stan, Thomas, Travis, and Tun. Those are the patrons who've joined us in the past month. So thank you very much. If you become a patron of ours, of course, we'll tell everybody that you are supporting the Mystery Box Show. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Manda, for the super chat.
Yes, the super chat thing is freaking awesome. Thank you so much for all of your support.
Jenny, thank you so very much for that.
Oh, Jenny, hey girl.
I hope you're doing well.
This is really fun to see not only people that we know in Portland and that are our friends and acquaintances of ours, but also, gosh, people globally and nationally. I'm blown away that people are. It's like 3:00 in the morning in London and people are like tuned in. I'm blown away by this. It's really cool.
11 o'clock in the morning in Melbourne, but it's tomorrow.
We truly are living in the future right now.
Yeah.
I wanted to add to that. So yes, the super chats, the Patreon, and also if you go to our website, mysteryboxshow.com, you can also just do a one-time donation if you feel called to do so. There's a donate button there. And, other ways you can help support us is just by subscribing to this YouTube channel. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when the live stream replay will be happening or when we have new content, etc. We've got some content up our sleeves that we'll be delivering in the near future.
Kathy
Also,
Kuntz, thank you for the super chat happening right now. Oh, and Pooja, thank you.
oh,
We love you.
Princess Pooja.
Princess Pooja.
Also finding us on Instagram and YouTube. If you like and follow us and spread the word, tell your friends.
Yeah, and I also saw somebody say in the chat, we're still a little bit new to how YouTube works. If you give thumbs up to this live stream right now, it helps people find it. So put it in front of people's screens because we still have many more stories throughout the course of the night.
Oh shit, son.
Oh shit, son.
We're at $810 via Super Chat. Do you know what that means?
What does that mean?
That means I get to put on another accessory. Okay, in the chat,
By the way, she could have said I have to put on. She said I get to put on.
let me know if you would like me to put on this gold necklace or these gold horns. Which one? Let me know in the chat. What even is the Mystery Box Show, Brian? Good thing. If you're just now tuning in, the Mystery Box Show is true stories, personal narratives, all about sex and sexuality. We do a live show on stage in Portland every other month. Right now, we're live streaming from our homes. We've got a couple more storytellers for you this evening.
We've already heard stories from Reba Sparrow and Dolly Dagger, so stay
I've
tuned
got
for
horns.
more.
Everyone, okay,
Everybody
everyone's
saying
saying
horns. All right,
All right, here we go, horns.
horn it up.
Go horns. Thank you, everybody, for contributing. Right now,
What is the next thing that we were going to say?
we're gonna go to intermission pretty soon, but intermission isn't just dead time.
Well, yeah, so you were going to talk a little bit, I believe, about Fun Factory.
All right. Excuse me one moment.
Take off your nose in order to take a sip.
Y'all, I mentioned at the top of the show about our sponsors that are sponsoring this live stream show here tonight. And this is so very true. My very favorite sex toy company is Fun Factory. They are manufactured in Germany. They have a company here in the States, and we are doing a giveaway tonight. Fun Factory has generously donated this date night package. Are you kidding me? Perfect for quarantine. It's got 2 vibrators, which I'm about to demonstrate for you in a moment. It's got this candle to set the scene. It's got a toy cleaner. It's got some lube, these adorable gnome stickers, because Germany, obviously. And there are also this date night challenge card, which has really actually fucking awesome suggestions and games and ways to help you connect with your partner or even to yourself. We're going to be giving this away. Eric's going to explain how we're giving this away in just a moment, but I wanted to demonstrate for you.
Yeah, what are the toys that are in here?
I hope you all find me very sexy in my getup right now. The first toy I want to demonstrate for you is their newest. It's called B1. It's a very small and discreet, which means you can just slip this into your bag. It's easy to travel with once we're able to travel again. You can poke this in your pocket, what have you. One thing that I really adore about Fun Factory is that all of their toys are hypoallergenic. Most of them are 100% waterproof, so they're fully submergible in water, and they're rechargeable with the magnetic click charger here with a USB port. Now this B1, it is gender non-specific, which I also really adore, and it goes just right between your fingers here, like Go-Go Gadget vibrator finger. It has 2 different motors, 4 different speeds. So it just attaches to your hand here. So no matter if you put this on your own person or on your partner, they can feel that vibration. So it's kind of an all-inclusive vibrator toy. It's also really beneficial if this goes between your labia, the lips. The lips. I'm looking at Eric.
Those are labia?
Can you talk to me about vulvas? I just asked Eric to mansplain vulva to me. I have one. I know about vulvas. This can just slip right in there, or it can go on the bridge, the perineum.
You all right?
Yeah. No, I just had a little bit of wine. Perineum. I call it the bridge. Regardless of your gender, most of us have bridges. Anyway, this is just a really fucking cool toy. And does it come? This is its little carrying case. It comes in like a little spaceship. And it goes in there, and it's perfectly awesome. So this is a part of the date night package. In addition to that is the Volta, which is one of my other, let me be honest, Fun Factory, all of their toys are my favorite toys. And if you can see on the screen right now, Fun Factory is offering 20% off to all of our live stream viewers on their website. Just go to funfactory.com and you can get 20% off any of their toys. All of them are amazing. This is the Volta. We'll be giving this away. I wanted to demonstrate this too. It is a vibrator. It has 6 different speeds and 6 different settings. It's also fully submergible in water and it's rechargeable. It was designed with a clitoris in mind. But I like to remind people that vibrators are good for any body and any body parts. This is also, if you happen to have a body part that resembles a banana, this is really nice. So I've been told, like this. Also, if you're a body that has nipples, this toy is really nice on nipples. It's an all-around good toy to have.
I think it's a very happy banana.
It's a very happy banana. So we'll be giving away these toys, and Eric's going to explain to you how you become eligible for these toys from Fun Factory.
And before we get to that, thank you again for the super chat, Sherry and Graham, trying to throw some pounds sterling at us. We see what you're doing there. We got some international currency converters happening. So may I scoot in here? Friends, when I was 16 years old, I masturbated a lot.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, like a lot. That's probably not uncommon for 16-year-olds, teenagers, or not uncommon for humans. But I was trying to hide it from my parents. This is probably something we're all familiar with. I don't need to tell you how that goes. But I was also experimenting with different, let's say, lubricants. Now I was 16, and it was before the internet, and I didn't grow up like in a super sex positive household, so I didn't know that lube was a thing. I'm not even sure how much lube was a thing at the time in the mid 90s, anyway, that most folks knew about. But I did somehow discover that suntan lotion felt very nice when I was trying to masturbate in front of my collection of MTV videos that I taped off the TV. Not a big deal. So I found whatever suntan lotion I can that my parents had hidden, like in the linen closet. Not hidden. They didn't hide the suntan lotion. They didn't know what I was using it for. They might have hidden it if they knew. But they also had this collection of just, skin lotions, hand lotions that you get, you go to a hotel and they have a little bottle of shampoo and a little soap and a little bottle of lotion. So they would take those from the hotels, and we had a basket in our linen closet that contained all of these. And somehow I got it into my head that if I took a glass, like a drinking glass, and poured all of the lotions into it, like with the different mixtures, the different consistencies. Is this a demonstration? That somehow it would become like the perfect magical masturbation potion, let's say. So I did that, and the thing is, I forgot that I had put all these lotions in the cup, because what I did, I put the lotions in the cup and then I put it in a cabinet in my basement, because I didn't want my parents to find it. I think I didn't realize until 3 or 4 days later that I had left it there, and I remembered it. And luckily, it was like in the same cabinet that held the TV where I watched my very beloved MTV videos. So when I took out the cup, the lotions were no longer very liquid. They were more, how to say, what's the in between state between liquid and solid? It was sort of
Congealed.
Yeah, congealed. That would be a great word, especially on top. And so I couldn't quite dig my fingers into to get a dollop. It was sort of hard on top, and I got it into my head.
Hard on top.
I got it into my head that there's no delicate way to say this, even though I'm a delicate, bashful person normally. I got into my head that instead of trying to take scoops of lotion from this drinking cup, I would instead just try to fuck the cup full of congealed lotion. So in the couch that we had there in the basement, I stuffed the cup between the two love seat cushions so that the cup, is facing upwards.
Was there a condom stuffed down in there too?
No, there wasn't.
Okay,
Should there have been?
No.
And I see. It was a callback.
It was a callback.
Got it. And so I placed the cup there, and it was held in place. And I de-pantsed myself, and lowered myself into the cup while probably some video. I don't remember whether it was Wicked Game. I don't remember whether it was Madonna's Cherish. I don't remember whether it was Billy Idol's Cradle of Love.
He remembers. It was all of them.
I don't remember whether it was George Michael's Too Funky. You all know the videos. I don't remember whether it was Janet Jackson's Love Will Never Do Without You. You get the point. I lowered myself into this cup and thrusted a couple of times before I swear I had an orgasm that felt like it came from my soul. Like I ejaculated, but it felt like the ejaculate was not coming from my testicles. It was coming from like another dimension through me, and into that cup full of lotion. I somewhat regret saying this, but I have been chasing that orgasm to this very day. And I don't know if any of you might have a similar kind of experience, but we're hoping to find that out now. We're about to put a number on the screen, and we want to find out from you what is some of the most memorable masturbation sessions that you've ever had. And here's the deal. We're going to put this number up. Text us. We're going to receive this text. We'll read some of these anonymously during the second half of the show. These numbers all come in. They don't have your names attached. But everybody who sends in a confession is going to be eligible to win the Fun Factory date night package that Reba showed off. Tomorrow we are going to... Sir, you're pulling it out here? Pulling it out. It's impossible. It's impossible. We're going to put the numbers into a random generator and pick a winner from everybody who's confessed. We will ship internationally if you are a winner who is not in the United States, and you will get this date night package from Fun Factory. And we'll text you to make sure that we're cool to get your address and everything like that. And then we'll announce it on Instagram. So, like Reba said, we're going to go to intermission. Intermission's going to be about 15 minutes, and we're going to solve some tech issues while we're there. In the meantime, why don't you tell us what your most memorable masturbation sessions have been? Text them to this number, and we'll see you in about 15 minutes. In the meantime, we're still gonna be here. I say we're gonna see you in 15 minutes. We're here right now, and we also have Nicole standing by. She's been in the chat window. And if anybody who have questions for us, or for for Reba or Dolly, or any of the storytellers coming up, ask them, and Nicole will get them to us. And we're gonna figure out the Zoom issues. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, it is now intermission time. But folks, this is exciting because as we introduced you before, our lovely production assistant, Nicole, has been keeping track of all of your comments and questions. And I also want to say we are at $915 in super chats. And once we hit $1,000, I'm going to put on some more crazy shit. So you just can't. I might have to go down to the costume room and get more. I didn't expect this much generosity. This is really exciting. But I'm going to pop on over to Nicole.
Actually, before you do that, we won't be able to... Well, we may be able to hear Nicole, I think, if I unmute. So we'll be able to quietly hear Nicole. I'm going to lower the microphone, and I'm going to try to figure out this audio issue, okay?
Yeah. I'm going to zoom over to Nicole, right?
Actually, double-click there.
Just double-click here.
And then you can zoom over to Nicole.
And then zoom over to Nicole. Nicole Perkins, everybody, our beautiful and wonderful production assistant. Nicole, what have you got for us?
Hello, hello. Oh my goodness. I was not sure what to expect with moderating the comment section, but it's been a delightful surprise so far. Everyone is so warm and welcome. Honestly, it just feels like being at our live show. For any of those who have been to our live show before in Portland, they are really special. The energy is wild. The audience is so supportive. It just feels like one big happy party community, and that's definitely what I'm feeling here tonight too. Let's see, what have we got some folks saying? I mean, to go back to Dolly's story, just, what an amazing story. Lots of folks really a big fan, saying how beautiful she was, what an amazing story. I had some specific ones. Let's see here. Kat said it was a wonderful story and it meant so much to her. Oh, Rachel's comment was, "Thank you, Dolly. I really needed to hear that today. Powerful story," which I think is just so lovely. Yeah, really, I have been reading all the comments, so please keep it coming. I see someone putting on the chat to put the number up again. So maybe we'll be able to put the number up again shortly.
That's there. Thank you for reminding us.
It is up. You can hear us, right? You can hear us, but you can't see us.
Yep, and we're getting confessions right now.
Oh, they're coming in.
Okay. Yay.
Okay. I'm gonna try to figure out some of this audio issue.
I'll just keep talking as if people can hear me, and maybe they will.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you, Nicole.
Yeah, for those who have been to a live Portland show, I am the production assistant. You've maybe seen me in the lobby at our information table, or I have a brief moment on the stage during our raffle portion. And then if you've ever told a story on our live show, I have literally thrust you up onto the stage. So thank you all for being here. This is a really, really cool experience. Let's see here. What other comments have we? I see lots of chats right now about kind of what's going on with the screen. Definitely working on some back-end tech things. With live streaming, we are, everything's on display. So whereas at the live show, we can take care of some things behind a curtain, there is no curtain here right now.
Nicole, I'm putting us back on the live stream for a second.
Okay.
I'm going to do a little volume control here, and then I would love to see if people can still hear you. And folks...
Because we were like, oh, pandemic, the world is upside down, and how do we live stream, and what do we do, and all of the things. But it is our 8-year anniversary show, which is just awesome to think about, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, everybody, Reba was mute for a moment. We heard that, but you should be able to hear her loud and clear now.
Mm-hmm. You can hear the tiniest whisper. Amy wants me to start miming.
Okay. Thank you all for helping us figure out these audio issues. The next live stream we do will definitely be better. We know the things to test out now. We did have a test the other day, but this is still pretty new to us.
Yeah, thank you for your patience as we try to figure all of this out. We did do tests. We are prepared, but you got to do it once so that you can change it and make it better. So we appreciate your patience and your support during all of this.
Yeah. We're getting a bunch of confessions in here, and we're going to read these out loud as soon as the show starts back up. Nicole, did you happen to know what time we went to intermission?
I lost it.
Okay.
I think we got just, a minute or two longer here.
Let's start it at 10 minutes from now. So let's go back on at 8 o'clock, let's say.
Great.
Sounds
perfect.
good.
Perfect.
I gotta pee.
Okay. I guess it'll just be me here for the moment.
Oh, unless you had things to do. Did you need to fix some some
No,
things.
you go ahead.
Nicole, what else have we got coming in here?
I had one really great comment that I wrote down a few minutes ago. Michelle said, happy anniversary. You've changed our lives, which is such a wonderful sentiment. I feel that. I've been here for 4.5 years now, and I feel like it's changed my life. So I hear that comment.
The tears of a clown. Tears of a clown.
Aww. Oh, by the way, I just saw this chat from Dolly in our Zoom call where we're hosting everything from. Dolly wants to let everybody know that Dolly's videos are also available on our YouTube channel if you want to see Dolly's other stories. Everything she has told has been so powerful and impactful. Definitely check them out. Yeah, please.
I'm just reading.
And please feel free to share them with everybody.
I'm just reading a comment right now. Nice knees. Did I expose my knees? What's going on? What do you mean? She's such a babe. They both are. Oh, we're babes. Or Nicole. You're probably talking about Nicole. She is a babe. I know.
You're both babes.
We're all babes here.
I can't die without seeing a live show. We're not stopping you, Reba. Oh, Adam Smith. Adam Smith, are you in London? Where are you?
Adam's in Melbourne.
Australia.
Oh, that's amazing. I love this. I don't want to leave the screen, but I gotta pee, y'all. That's what intermission is for. I'm gonna pee.
Yeah.
You got this? Yeah, okay. Happening.
I'm gonna scoot in here.
Text in those confessions.
They are coming in. Okay, I'm gonna pop back on here. I'm gonna see if I can do anything about this whole situation with the audio while we're waiting. You are all being so great, and it's fabulous to have you all here. Let me see. Yeah, this is fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna put on my thinking cap for a second. We may just have to go with the standard microphone. I think that's what we're gonna do. I think we're gonna keep it simple, and I'm not gonna try to dive into the tech stuff. Someone way earlier in the chat up there said something about making sure our system audio was connected, and I think that may be a clue to what's going on. So I'm sorry I've lost track of who that was, but you know who you are, and I think that's going to be the first thing we check out next. Meanwhile, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask us? You can save them for our after party or ask them now. Nicole will collect them and send them to us. Yeah, oh, it's so... And Papa D's here. Papa D, great to see you. Let's see. Who's on screen right now? It's Nicole on screen. And now it's me. Nicole, were you waiting for me to take you off of screen?
Oh, no, either way is totally fine. I've just been reading the comments here. I like that someone brought up your lovely background and your new and improved studio
wallpaper.
area.
Yeah.
You talk about that amazing pink wall and velvet couch. So I think that should be talked about.
Yeah. Oh, Adam, I see you say don't forget to add your handle to your confession. I think, Adam, if you mean like your username or who you are, folks, your confessions can 100% be anonymous. You don't need to add your handle. Adam, that's a great idea, but we're going to get in touch with you if you win the Fun Factory toy. Brian Harper is here. Brian, thank you so much for being here. It was great to talk with you the other day and hook up with you on were we on Skype or Zoom? Whatever it was. Glad you're here. My phone is getting so many confessions. I almost feel like we should just...
Did anybody read this comment from my sister? I'm going to read it. So, Dolly, this is for you. My sister, who is in California, says, big thanks to Dolly Dagger, my sister, Christine McClellan, if anyone else is wondering who that is. Just in the last couple of years and after much upheaval that I'm finally reaching the level of self-acceptance and love. It's a powerful thing to realize you're a badass. Aw, Fee. Glad my sister is here. You know, my brother was like, I'd like to join you, but my husband has boundaries, which is amazing. I'm glad that my brother-in-law was like, fuck that. I can't listen to my sister-in-law talk about sex. That delights me, actually. Anyway, but I'm glad my sister is here and my niece is here as well. Where are we on? Papa D, is that... Do we know you? It's gorgeous
Yeah,
and fun. Love this.
Papa D has commented on a bunch of our videos.
Aww.
Yeah,
Thank
by the
you.
way, if you're just like finding us here on YouTube, if like somebody, if the algorithm popped us into your feed and you're like, what is this thing all about? For those of you who are just joining us, the Mystery Box Show is a storytelling show based in Portland, Oregon, where people tell true stories all about sex and sexuality, and that's what we're doing here tonight. Reba and I are the hosts. We've already had some great stories from Reba and from Dolly Dagger. We have Kate Mura coming up. We have Esther Godoy coming up from Butch is Not a Dirty Word magazine, and confessions from everybody that are coming in to the phone. And sorry, what's going on?
Nothing. I think it's time for confessions.
Okay, yeah,
I think intermission is over.
there are at least 70 confessions on the phone, so we're going to get to as many as we can before we continue. But anyway, so if you're just joining us, that's what this is all about, and we're glad you're here. And if you like this, you can check out the rest of our YouTube channel, where we have over 200 stories that were told live on stage here in Portland. And as soon as the restrictions get lifted, we're going to be back in the theater doing more and more. But while we're still... This has been so much fun.
Yeah, we're going to have more content while in quarantine.
I think we're going to do more live streams. This is going to become a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
hello from San Francisco, all the people. Let's read some confessions. So these are all from you. Everybody who's watching and has signed in. If you saw and listened to Eric's story, and the prompt was...
most memorable masturbation session.
Mm-hmm. All
because
right,
because it feels like during this time of quarantine, a lot of people are getting very, very familiar with themselves. So
I just popped my nose off.
Maybe your most memorable session has been very recent. Who knows?
Can I read the first one?
Yeah, sure.
I want it. Okay, this person says, my most memorable masturbation was the first time I used a cock on myself. After learning I can squirt, I put a pad down underneath and soaked it with my joy. Wow. So like it's the first, so you learned you could squirt and then you were like, I gotta go masturbate. After you learned you could squirt, and then this was the first, yeah. Wow, that's... Okay. I get it. That's something. That's big.
Right. Let's see. Let's go random.
It's transformational.
Go random here. Mm-hmm. Oh, let's see.
We're just going at random, by the way.
Roommates are notorious for invading privacy. Many years ago in college, I was stroking my penis while looking at pictures I found in a forum. I lived in a basement, so I usually had a blanket handy because it was cold.
Makes sense.
Always cold. Just as I'm about to come all over myself, one of my female roommates opens my door and walks in. I have just enough cover to quickly place my blanket over myself. As she walks up to my desk and is talking to me about paying utilities, I am orgasming. My hands are outside the blanket and I'm trying to keep a neutral face. As far as I know, she never knew. I can relate to that. She knew. I can relate to that.
She knew.
We're taking the confession thing off of the screen just for the moment. You know what? Let's keep it up just for a couple more minutes. We want as many people to be eligible for the Fun Factory prize as possible. Okay. Should we go another random one?
Yes, and before we do, I want to say, if you're just tuning in and you're wondering why I'm wearing all these things, for every $250 we receive via Super Chat, I am adding an extra costume accessory. Nicole, we're at $9.15, is that accurate? So another $85, and I will put on some more crazy shit.
What's the YouTube channel, Andy2Dogs asked? The YouTube channel, it's the one you're on right now. It's youtube.com/mysteryboxshow. Yeah, okay. Let's see, another confession. When I broke up with my ex, I moved into the first place I'd ever lived on my own. I was trying to stop sleeping with my ex and wasn't ready to date anyone new for about 10 months, so I spent a lot of time relearning my body. I got my first butt plug, bought myself nipple clamps, and spent many nights with the window wide open to the neighbor's property.
I just love nipple clamps.
Just banging the living daylights out of myself. Poetic. I learned how to give myself multiple orgasms through penetration, and learned that my orgasms came from me, not someone else. I was loud. I wasn't posing for anyone, and it was some of the best sex I'd ever had up until then.
Wow, that's some powerful shit. Thank you.
Doing with the windows
Thank
open?
you.
Bold, bold, bold. Not discouraging that at all.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay. One more. I want to read it.
Should do a couple more.
Oh my gosh. I cannot believe. I don't know if any of you can see this. We just have texts coming in and coming in and coming in.
Don't show them that. They'll be shocked.
Okay.
Shocked, I say, that my phone doesn't have a case on it.
Okay, here we go. Most memorable masturbation session. Not sure how it happened. I'm pretty sure you did know how it happened. But I was masturbating in front of some friends. Not sure how that happened. I don't know. Everyone's eyes were focused on my pussy. My fingers moving over my clit and inside of me. I was really wet. And I squirted across the room over a friend's shoulder.
Over a friend's shoulder? Like they're just sitting there talking and then, whoa.
I picture that there's like a target and you're like aiming for it. Yeah, what do you mean you don't know how that happened?
Sometimes the hands just wander on their own.
Oh my gosh. The more we read these, the more they just come in and come in and come in. These are amazing. One more and then let's get to the next story.
I'm going to adjust the mic, but yeah, you can go one more.
Okay, one more and then we're going to get to the next story. I'm going to read... Okay, here we go. Just random scroll. This is amazing. So many confessions. Oh gosh, here's a long one. A long one. That's what she said. Or that's what he said. That's what they said. So, when I was 16, I was living with my dad, my stepmother, my three brothers, and my sister. I told my dad that I was too sick to go to school so that he would let me stay home. And he did. So my parents went to work and my siblings went to school. I was home alone. Finally. So within my boring time alone, I decided to find something that could get me off. Makes sense. I would do that too. Something that I haven't done before, and I didn't have any more lube, so doing it dry wasn't going to cut it anymore. Smart move. So I went upstairs and got what I thought would be perfect, a jar of peanut butter.
Oh no.
It's thick enough to provide good feeling, I thought. And I also thought that getting a little warm would be great. So I microwaved it for a moment to get a more desirable feeling. After that, I took the peanut butter back downstairs and sat down in my chair. I turned the peanut butter upside down and began to fuck the jar. It was great for about 5 seconds until it poured out all over my crotch. I was covered in warm liquid peanut butter. I didn't have a towel or anything to clean up. I was very unprepared in my horniness. I awkwardly waddled up the stairs to the shower, and when I got to the top, I heard someone open up the front door. Oh no. I scurried to the shower quickly and in a rush left the peanut butter on the counter. I came back from the shower and saw I came back from the shower and saw my dad making a sandwich. I couldn't look at him in the eye for a week after that. This was gold. Thank you. Gold.
I just loved watching you go through that emotional roller coaster while reading it.
This is beautiful. I want to share before we get to our next storyteller. No, I'm not going to share. Okay, go.
Okay.
Sorry, I just chickened out.
We have it. We'll get to some more confessions later. Hopefully, we'll get to yours and those that we don't. We're probably going to find other ways to get those out into the world. Again, all anonymous. Also wanted to answer, Papa D just asked, so what's the best way for you guys for people that are financially strained for a while to help the Mystery Box show out? Papa D, thank you so much for asking. I'm gonna put up the social media stuff here again. If you do not have the funds to help the Mystery Box show out right now, of course we understand. This has been a strange and strained time for so many people, and we would not ask you to give anything that you were unable to give. Your money right now should be going towards the things that you're able to focus on, your family and yourself. But how you can help us for totally free, Reba mentioned our social media stuff. You can follow us on Facebook. You can engage with us on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter. We're trying to get a little bit more active there. And you can subscribe to this YouTube channel right here and ring that bell so you get the notifications. I know that this seems like a like something that doesn't matter, but those numbers actually really do help get us in front of more people. And what that means is that more people get to hear the stories from the people who are sharing them. And we truly believe that the stories that are at our show, they build community, they build empathy, because you get to see that even from people who don't share the same body as you, who don't share the same preferences as you, who don't share the same sexual activity as you, share the same emotions, the same heart, and it makes us not feel as distant, and we honestly believe that. That's how you can help us. Let people know about the show. Tell your friends, hey, there's this cool show. Check out these videos. Share them with people. And you know what? Since we are going to be doing some more live streams, we didn't just decide that, right?
No.
We've been talking about that.
We've been talking about that.
Pitch stories to us at our website, mysteryboxshow.com, as it says right there. Right there. There's some guidance on how you can get in touch with us to say, hey, I have a story I want to tell. Will you help me tell that story? Reba and I work very carefully with all of our storytellers. We coach the stories. We get them into the best possible shape they can be to really pull up all of the emotions in them, all of the information that really makes a great story that's powerful and connects with people. So pitch your stories to us, and who knows, you might appear on the Mystery Box Show yourself someday.
We just got another super chat from Rachel. Thank you, Rachel, for your
Thank
contribution.
you very much, Rachel.
But yeah, subscribing to our YouTube channel, hitting that notification bell, and actually watching the stories, by you being entertained and watching those stories, actually helps us out as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Shall we get this party started?
Let's get back to the stories.
Yeah, we've got another storyteller for you all.
Who is introducing? Oh, I'm introducing Kate. Friends, the next storyteller we have for you is a fantastic performer here in Portland. She's also a tarot reader. You're going to find out a little bit more about how to get in touch with her later. She's an actor. We met her a while ago, and her story...
I met her. I used to run a theater here in Portland, and she had done some productions years ago. What, 8 years ago?
Something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when we found out that she was interested in telling a story at the show, we couldn't wait to hear what she has to share. We can't wait for her to share it with you. Friends, will you put your hands together for Kate Mura?
I was 19 years old and had heard pretty much all of my friends tell me about their losing virginity, giving virginity stories. And most of them were pretty banal and lackluster. And I thought to myself, I can do better than that. I want to do better than that. At the time, I was a very young witch. And even though I was new to the practice and new to the craft, I knew from the readings, from just what felt right in my body when I imagined sex, that it was sacred. And so all of my friends' stories did not resonate with sacredness to me. And that seed, that intention of having my first times be sacred was set. Now, I had been dating Trey for about a year and a half. And I just knew that he was the one that I wanted to have penis and vagina sex with for the first time. I just knew it. That soul click, that energy exchange, electricity, that intuition that we all have, witches or otherwise. Had no idea how or when, because we were long distance, but I knew it was going to happen. And he knew it was going to happen because we had talked about it. Now, much to our surprise, as intentions and spells often unfold surprisingly, his paintball team was competing in Cranberry, Pennsylvania, and I was able to join them. There was no doubt in either of our minds that I was going down there because I wanted to have sex with him. And again, no idea when, no idea how, but following that intuition, listening to that knowing, and just trusting. And so I'm down in Cranberry, Pennsylvania, and the paintball team has 2 hotel rooms, and we knew early on that sex was not going to happen in either of those motel rooms because we would have to get all of the paintball team into one, and they all knew why I was down there. It was not to watch them crawl around on the ground with paintballs. And if we were going to have sex in the motel room and the paintball team was on the other side, we knew that there were going to be like, woohoo, yeah, have fun. And we would just be, it would not be sacred. It would not be sacred at all. So one night we were all hanging out and it was getting late. And I just felt this now. And I looked over to Trey and we looked at each other at exactly the same moment. And those times of instinct, of divine inspiration, of whatever you call it for yourself, are potent when we have them individually, but they are doubly potent when it happens at the exact same time for 2 people. And we just looked at each other, and without even having to say a word, we just knew. And I grabbed the blanket from one of the motel beds and started out the door, and Trey was right behind me. And at first there was a little bit of a like stunnedness from the paintball team because we really did just go, whoop, oh, nope. Now is the time that we are going to go. We don't know where we're going, but we're going. And so as we're closing the door and getting into my parents' borrowed minivan, we hear the like, from behind the motel door. And we just start driving. Had no idea where we're going. We just know that the time is now. And we'd gone a little ways down the road, and I remembered a cemetery. And I looked at Trey and I was like, the cemetery? Yes! And so we drove to the cemetery, 2 witches, almost at midnight. And we drive up, the cemetery is on the side of this hill. And so we drive up the winding road and get into the parking lot. And there's one lone car. So we go all the way on as far away from that other car as we can get. And we park behind like an old abandoned, or maybe not abandoned, empty gatekeeper's house. And we get out. And we feel the warm summer air on our skin and listen to the quiet of the night. Listen to make sure that we don't hear sounds of the other car and the people who, you know, the car was empty, so maybe there are other people wandering around. So we just stand there listening deeply for a few moments. And all we hear is the silence of the night. And so we take hands and we come to the edge of where the parking lot ends and the cemetery begins. And before we cross that threshold, we ask for permission. We ask the land, we ask the spirits, and I don't remember whether or not we did so verbally or if we just held in our hearts and our souls the intention that we had to make love that night. And maybe we did actually hold those intentions in our hearts while we said the words, may we. And we stood there for a moment, listening to hear their answer. Because in the same way that you ask somebody a question, and a yes or no question, and you get a yes or no, and that yes or that no is really clear on an energetic level as well as a verbal level, it's the same with the land and with the spirits. And may we? And the land said yes. It was this welcoming energy on. And so, holding hands together, we stepped on to the graveyard. We crossed that threshold, because every threshold, every doorway is magic. It is going from one space to another. And it can, like, giving it intentionality is even more potent. And so once we were on the, once we were in the graveyard, we started feeling around for where we were going to lay our blanket, because even though the overall graveyard said, yes, you are welcome to have sex here, we figured that some spirits would be like, yes, please have sex on top or near my final, my bones, so to speak. And others would be like, oh, no, you're fine to be here, but please just, go somewhere else. And so we, of course, wanted to respect all of those energies and all of those spirits. And so, because we're in a graveyard, there are a lot of spirits. So we listen and we start walking, and when we feel that pushback of no, not here, we go the other way. And so we're bounced back and forth a little bit, and we find a perfect place to lay our blanket down, that has some good space between graves, so we didn't feel like we were on top of anyone, and the energy felt warm and welcoming. The night was clear and the stars were bright, and the grass underneath the blanket was soft as we sat down facing each other, gazing deep into each other's eyes, holding hands and casting the circle around. And for those of you for whom casting a circle around is like, what is she talking about? When witches cast a circle, we are envisioning energy surrounding us, above or below. You can think of it as being inside a bubble. Sometimes it's golden, sometimes it's luminescent or pearlescent, sometimes it's bright white light. Like, the colors that they are very dependent on the people who are in them, and many other things. But imagine this energy just swirling around the two of us, holding us protected, for me to gift that part of sex for the first time. For it was not Trey's first time of many. And so we start kissing and taking each other's clothes off, and enjoying each other's bodies in the moonlight. And then I start to hear a car in the distance and see headlights coming up the driveway, and we freeze. And at this point, we are both naked. I was about ready to let him enter me for the first time, when instead we're seeing headlights. And there had been something rather like titillating and exciting about being so intimate and vulnerable in the night air and with the spirits around in the trees. But it's very different when it might be another person coming up or an entire paintball team. So we freeze and we're not breathing in the car. I am hoping that it's just going to turn around and go back the other way. No, it parks and the lights go down. And at that point, we're both like, oh, we should cover up. So we fold the blanket over us, sleeping bag style, and he's on top of me, and so hard, and we're so still, and not knowing if anyone is going to happen upon us is getting me so wet. And more time passes, and we're like, okay. And I have the question, did we just happen to find the place in Cranberry, Pennsylvania where the kids come to park and make out? Maybe we did. But enough time passed that we've both felt comfortable enough continuing. And I guide him inside, and it doesn't take me very long at all to orgasm. And in fact, as we continued, I had multiple orgasms that night, and it was my first time having that kind of sex. And not a lot of people I know who had PIV for the first time had multiple orgasms. But there was something about the intentionality and the voyeuristic and exhibitionist circumstances that just really heightened the experience for me and taught me a valuable lesson about intentions. Like, you might not know how it's going to come about, but setting a clear intention really brings a magic to it that was super special. And it ended up giving me more than a little goth street cred by losing a virginity in a cemetery at midnight. And this witchy heart wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you.
Wow.
Kate Mura, everyone. I love that story.
Fantastic.
I love sex witches.
Kate, that was fantastic.
Yes, adorable. I want to announce we just hit a little over $1,000 on our super chat. Thank you, everyone. This is more than we ever even anticipated, but that means I get to put on another accessory. I'm gonna put on some wangs. You gonna help me?
Okay, yeah. What needs to happen?
I gotta put these wings on over these horns.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
All right.
Wow.
That's a perfect follow-up to Kate's story.
Wings?
Yeah.
Magic?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because Kate, people are going wild for your story.
Oh,
applause,
wow,
applause,
Kate,
applause.
all these applause. Everyone, gosh.
And we're gonna put this info up on screen. If you want to get in touch with Kate at all about her tarot readings, I'm gonna just look into the screen a little bit just to make sure that I have this information right. But Kate, we have this information for everybody. It's the New Moon Group Tarot. The next available date is April 22nd. And you can email her at bookingfairy at katemura.com. Hence the perfect combination of the wings. Kate Mura, please get in touch with her. She is fantastic.
Oh,
This has
Kate, that
been
was
so
so
much
lovely.
fun.
Kate, there were people commenting, so all the storytellers can't see can't see the chat that's going on right now, but folks were like, thank you for bringing this to us, Kate. This feels more intimate than other stories I've seen and things like that. So people are really loving you, Kate. And as a reminder, stick around. We are going to have an after party. We have one more storyteller for you. And after the show, we're going to have an after party where you can connect with all of the storytellers you've seen here tonight and with each other, too. We'll have our lovely assistant, Nicole, moderating all those comments and questions.
Absolutely.
Let's say we read some more confession cards.
Yeah, I'm going to put up just our social media info just a little more. If you go to our website, you can also sign up for our mailing list. Scroll down the page a little to find that. It's the best way to know about what's going on, when our events are going to be, when the next live streams are going to be, and some other info that needs to come your way from the Mystery Box Show. Let's get to some more confessions about best masturbation memories.
How many confessions have come in?
At least 100. So let's see.
Y'all are hardcore. This is amazing.
Let's see what we can burn through, and let's see. You choose at random.
This is so scary for me. Usually at our in-person shows, I pick through them, and I'm like, which one am I going to read? Eric does them completely at random, so now I'm forced to do them completely at random.
Yeah, there's no screening here.
This is stressing me out. Okay. All right, here we go. When I was 8 or 9 years old, I decided to fuck myself. In parentheses, as modified by a child's idea of what that is.
So age appropriate.
Good point, yeah. With a big pen. No judgment. The cap came off. Oh no, honey. The cap came off inside of me, and for several days, I tried to get it out every time I peed, but I couldn't reach it. My grandparents were visiting, and we all went out to dinner at North's Chuckwagon. This is a buffet restaurant in the 80s that featured multiple kinds of Jell-O. Do you live in the South?
Multiple kinds of Jell-O.
I used to live in the South. Okay. I'm like, I feel you. It was there in the bathroom of North's Chuckwagon that I could reach the pen cap. How? Tell me how. I want to know. I joyously retrieved it and returned to the table proud and feeling very grown up that I solved my problem myself.
That is kind of super adorable. I think we all know that feeling of self-satisfaction when you're a kid and you're like, I didn't need an adult to help me out with this at all. Get the big pen out of,
one of the chats coming in says, I'm thinking that I want to take my wife to a cemetery and screw her and then get up and run to the car after we both came. Is that wrong?
We're seeing Kate's video right now. She's doing this. Yes! Yes!
This is amazing.
Let's see. Other most memorable masturbation moment was actually just last weekend. Very recent. See?
Oh,
see?
snap.
The quarantine brings you in touch with yourself.
You know what? We haven't hit another goal, but I just feel like accessorizing a little bit more. Okay, keep going.
Okay. My most memorable masturbations moment happened actually just last weekend. I ordered a dildo that, of course, vibrates, but it also thrusts.
Ooh, was it Fun Factory? Was it a pulsator? Go on.
Those are awesome. I had been anxiously awaiting its arrival. You can also prop it up so no more wrist pains. Oh, and then a little little winky face emoji, like we all know about those masturbation wrist pains. Paired with the new dildo with a clit stimulator that, no fooling, feels like it's sucking my clit. Amazing. I came somewhere around 12 times, but it didn't really count. And
why didn't it count? What do you mean?
No, they didn't count. They didn't count how many times.
Oh, they didn't count. Okay.
It wasn't like they had like one of those clickers. It was like, okay, it was
right.
10, 11. That was 12. Yeah, 12. Okay.
Oh shit, my nose fell off.
And I couldn't stop. As Reba mentioned, being sore after her first story tonight, I resembled that remark for about 3 days. I highly recommend both of these toys. Most fantastic session of masturbation ever.
Wow. Would you tell us what that toy was? If you're still watching in the chats, tell us what that toy was. I want in on that.
Okay. Let's do 2 more confessions and then get to our final storyteller who has been patiently standing by and we are waiting to hear from him.
Right. As a reminder, if you want to contribute to our super chat, I'll just keep pulling. Maybe eventually I'll start taking this stuff off. I'll start stripping. I'll start stripping the more super chats that come in.
Different show.
Okay. My most memorable masturbation story. I woke up in the middle of the night and could not wait for morning relief. I stumbled to the bathroom, grabbed the first bottle of lotion, and took it back to my room.
Lotion.
Was it sunscreen? After completion, I went to sleep. When I woke up, I noticed my hand was completely orange. Turns out it wasn't lotion. It was bronze tanning lotion.
Oh, no.
So it wasn't sunscreen, but it was tanning lotion. Oh, that's funny. I can't believe how many confessions have come in. This is amazing.
Taguchi, thank you so much for the super chat. Also wanted to thank, we saw the super chats earlier from Kendall and Adrian Gunn. Thank you so very much, Adrian. V. Jordan, Chelsea, B. again, thank you so much. Tama CR, sir. Shut
up, JD.
Thank you. That was super generous of you. Yeah, the super chats will keep going, and we have more costume pieces to Reba's costume closet is kind of endless. Bottomless?
What is it called when your best friend has a husband? What does that make him to me? JD, what are you? You're my best friend's husband. That makes you my second husband. What does that make you? JD was just like, how many drinks are in you? You don't know me. You don't know me at all, JD.
Okay. One more confession, and then our final story of the evening, and then stick around for our after party, where we're all just going to hang out with everybody. You get to talk to us and the storytellers.
Well, I want to plug JD really quick. JD is an incredible tattoo artist. If you're anywhere near the Boulder area, I know we can't gather right now, but he is Surf Billy Tattoo. Google him. I literally fly from Portland, Oregon to Colorado to get tattoos done by JD because he's that good. Not that there aren't many talented artists in Portland, but JD's fucking phenomenal. So Google Surf Billy Tattoo, and when we're out of this quarantine, go get some tattoos.
Also love this answer from our good friend Kay. Your best friend's husband is your husband. That's perfect.
Wait, Kay, doesn't that describe you? You're my wife's husband. Shit, so it keeps getting more and more complicated.
Okay, one more confession, and then we get to our final story tonight. Here we go. Random. Say stop at any point.
Stop.
Okay, here we go. My most memorable session. I handcuffed a guy to a chair, laid on my bed, and made him watch as I used my hand and a vibrator to get myself off.
That's hot, I do that.
By the time I finished, he was squirming and panting and ready to come without even being touched.
Oh, that's power.
That is power.
Isn't it? Isn't that what you're expressing? That's hot.
All right, friends. Here we are. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready. Folks, our last storyteller this evening is originally from Australia, Melbourne. Mm-hmm. She is the founder and editor of Butch is Not a Dirty Word magazine, and her story is just fucking phenomenal. Yeah, put your virtual hands together. Show us some appreciation in the chat there for Esther Godoy.
Woo!
Woohoo, Esther!
I was on my way to the first lesbian bar I'd been to, and I didn't really think of myself as queer at that time. In fact, I hadn't really accessed my sexuality at all. I was really just looking for some friends. I was desperate to find a place where I'd fit in. You see, femininity had never really come naturally to me. I was the kind of young girl that loved skateboarding, and I listened exclusively to like punk rock and hip hop. So as I approached that bar and I heard the sound of like Destiny's Child and Pink mashed together, blaring out of the sound system, I probably should have known in that moment that it wasn't going to be the place for me. But in the spirit of this quest, I pushed on. And as I stepped inside that bar and looked around, this wave of confusion came over me. You see, in place of the diverse group of rough and tumble lesbians I had expected to find was this sea of dykes that looked exactly like Avril Lavigne. it felt like there were almost like over 100 of them littered around this bar. They were like standing up against walls and holding pool cues and glaring at each other. I couldn't understand how they appeared to be so calm, cool, and collected, whilst at the same time being so meticulously presented. Every single one of them had perfect long straightened hair, a backwards baseball cap, loose-fitting jeans, and a midriff tank top. And the creme de la creme to top the uniform off was a chained wallet. And I looked around a little longer, and it kind of became clear to me that this uniform was like this unspoken law that everybody had to abide to in order to have access to this space and everyone in it. I looked down at what I was wearing, which was like this size 34 baggy men's jeans and this big black hoodie. And in comparison to them, potato sack, I stood out like a sore thumb. So I thought I'd check out the patio to see if it was maybe more my scene. And I went out there and I took a seat, and not long after, two of these Avril Lavignes came out and sat right in front of me. And they didn't know I was there, so I started eavesdropping on them. And Avril Lavigne, number one, turned to her friend and said, God, if I ever grow up to look like that, I'm going to need you to, like, beat the shit out of me. And then Avril Lavigne, number two, looked at number one and was like, I fully don't get it. Like, do they just want to dress like men, or are they actually trying to be men or something? And it wasn't hard to figure out who they were talking about. It was the only people in the bar that didn't look exactly like them. It was a group of older women, maybe in their 50s, and they had these like perfectly shaved buzzcut heads and these white starchy T-shirts under leather jackets, and they were smoking cigarettes and drinking whiskey, and I could tell by the furrows in their brows and the way that their shoulders slunk over that they'd experienced like far more adversity in their lives than either me or any of these Avril Lavignes ever had. So I looked over at the Avrils and then back at this group of older butch dykes and back at the Avrils again. And to be honest, like I couldn't quite see myself in either of these groups of people, but innately I knew that I was probably closer to the older butch dykes. So I really had this, that this wasn't going to be the place for me. And I left the bar that night and I felt lonelier and more invisible and more isolated than when I'd gone in. At that time in my life, I felt like the only young woman in the world who didn't understand how to embody some kind of femininity. So I did try to go back to that bar a few times, and each time I'd try on like one item of this Avril Lavigne uniform, but man, I could never make it work. Like it just didn't come naturally to me. So I gave up on the dyke bars and, you know, I decided to throw myself back into the one thing that I enjoyed most at that time, which was skateboarding. And it was by accident, but skateboarding gave me this wonderful environment where I was able to express my masculinity without being confronted about it on a daily basis. You see those big baggy jeans and that big hoodie and that like trucker cap I'd wear off to the side, like I could blame that terrible sense of style on the fact that I was a skater, not the fact that I wanted to, you know, look like a guy. And while skateboarding was like awesome for that at that time, there were barely any women that skated back then. And because of this, I was like kind of semi-professional, and I got invited to go on this women's skateboarding tour that left from Portland, Oregon, and ended at this big professional contest in Canada. And even though, you know, I was in Australia at that time, I absolutely jumped at this opportunity because I was so desperate to find, you know, a place where I might fit in or people that would understand me. So I booked a ticket like straight away and flew across the world. And the morning of the skate trip, I woke up and I threw all my things in a taxi and I, you know, got myself to the meeting spot. And as soon as I got out of the taxi, somebody yelled out at me, "Oi, Esther, is that you?" And I said, yeah, I'm coming, it's me. And they yelled out, "Hurry up, you're running late already." And in that moment, like my palms got all sweaty and my heart had started racing. Like I was terrified that I had already pissed these people off. I was going to be a nuisance before they'd ever met me. And that it was just going to be another place that like I was an outsider and I didn't fit in. So like I scurried over to the van as quickly as I could with my eyes on the ground. And when I got there, almost everyone was in the van waiting to go. But as I lifted my head to my right, with short hair, cargo shorts, and an avocado tattoo on the back of her bicep, was the most majestic creature I'd ever seen. She was a butch lesbian. but she was the first butch lesbian that I had ever seen that I could almost see myself in. And I wanted to like emulate her. She was tall, she was handsome, like she was strong. She had this really kind smile. And she wiped her hand on her cargo shorts and extended one out to greet me. And she said, "Hi, I'm Moira. Help me with the rest of this stuff and we can get going." And in that moment, she could have asked me to have done anything and I would have said yes. And we got in the van, and as we did, she made some space next to her for me to sit down. And I don't know exactly what it was about her, but she had this wonderful energy. It was like that of both an older brother but also a mother. And even though I didn't know her, I immediately felt like so calm and so seen in her presence. And over the next 2 weeks, me and Mura became like the best of buddies. And I learned almost everything I needed to know at that time about being a butch lesbian through watching her and how she like navigated the world and interacted with people and how they responded to her. And I remember one of the first towns that we stopped in on the skate trip was this tiny little middle of nowhere town in Montana. And the first thing we do when we got to these towns was we try and find the skate park. So we rolled into the parking lot of the skate park, and it was a beautiful summer evening. The sun was just starting to set. We were all ready to stretch our legs. And as I looked out to the right, I saw this big group of guys. And to me, they didn't look like skaters. Like, they looked like the kind of guys I'd seen depicted in American films all through my childhood growing up. You know, the kind that drove like pickup trucks around and wore flannelette shirts with the sleeves cut off and drank way too much beer and had nothing better to do in those small towns than to look for trouble. And if you can picture like 10 tattooed women pouring out of this van from Portland with like skateboards under their arms, we were exactly the kind of trouble that these guys were looking to get into. And we kind of just ignored them and started skating. And not long after, they started shouting shit out at us. And I think the first thing was like pretty classic, like, "Are you girls or guys?" And we ignored them. We kept skating. And then a very original, "Show us your tits." And this wasn't out of the ordinary. Like, you know, we were used to being shouted shit at. But the third thing I remember them yelling out was, "Why don't you come over here and talk to us? Or are you a pack of fucking dykes or something?" And that one had a lot more anger behind it and a lot more like volition. And we all looked at each other, and without even saying anything, I could tell we were all thinking the same thing, that like we needed to get the fuck out of there and quickly. We'd all heard the stories about like what happens to queer people and to women who don't fit the mold in small towns. So I looked up at the van and then over to this group of guys, and I was trying to figure out the easiest and quickest way to get out of there safely. But before I could even concoct a plan, I saw Moira like confidently striding over to this group of guys, and she like inserted herself in the middle of them. And it was all the way over the other side of the skate park, so I couldn't hear what she was saying. But after a minute or two, like they shake hands, and one of them hands her this like, I don't know, like a 6-pack of Bud Light or something. And as she's like retreating back to where we're sitting, the shouting totally like shifts, and it turns into like cheering and hooting and hollering for us every time we are landing tricks. And a few of the guys come over and they even ask us if they can have goes on our skateboards. And, you know, when Moira finally got back to sit with us, I was like, "Dude, what did you say? Like, how did you do that?" And she wouldn't tell us, but she just like had this big smile on her face. And I watched her navigate these situations throughout that whole 2 weeks. And every time she had this way of commanding this respect from people, but at the same time remaining, you know, kind and empathetic. And she had this really wonderful way of being able to draw the playfulness out of anyone. And, you know, for the rest of the trip, some of the memories that really stuck out to me was how Morris could so like confidently and easily just talk to and flirt with women. And she'd do that with the kind of women that I thought were absolutely out of bounds for any butch dyke to ever talk to, let alone think about making out with. And then what surprised me doubly was how they would respond to her positively. They would like blush and smile and flirt back and joke with her. And it was like my limited understanding of what it meant to be a lesbian was just like transforming in front of my eyes. And when we got back to Portland, I had 2 or 3 more days before I was going to be sent back, you know, to Australia. And over that time, Moira taught me a couple more things before she sent me on my way. And the first one was that she taught me I was like allowed to walk into a barbershop and ask for any haircut I wanted. I had no idea I was allowed to do that as a woman. So I did. And I got this fade all the way down to my skin and this like perfectly manicured side part I had. And then we went shopping and she taught me how to, you know, buy clothes from the men's section, or in my case, the little boys section. But by the end of that trip, I was absolutely like on top of the world. I transformed from that like awkward little baby dyke Avril Lavigne wannabe into the like Butch dyke skateboarding trucker cowboy of my dreams. And when I got back home to Melbourne, it was like coming home to myself. I looked in the mirror and for the first time, I actually liked what I saw. And it was truly like meeting myself for the first time. And because I started to believe that I started to believe that other people might like what they saw as well. And in that moment, something I'd never had access to, my sexuality, just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I started noticing women everywhere, and I was attracted to women all over the place. And every time I saw them, I'd get these butterflies in my stomach. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go back to those dyke bars. But this time, I'm not going to go just to find friends. Like, I'm going to go to try and find some people to make out with. So I did. And every time I'd go to those dyke bars or those dyke nights, I'd put on my best flannelette shirt. I'd button it right up to the neck here. I'd have like really nice fitting jeans and these big red wing boots I'd tie up. And quite frankly, I'd put far too much hair gel in my hair. But I'd walk into these spaces and I'd think of Moira and how confidently and easily she walked through the world. And I'd, you know, try and do the same thing. And I just faced like rejection after rejection after rejection over and over again. Nobody was interested in me, not for platonic friendships, certainly not for romantic relationships. And there was just only so much of it I could take before I started to question myself. And this happened over a period of weeks, months, the whole year. And slowly that memory of myself and everything that had happened in Portland started to fade. And I kind of retreated back into wearing those big baggy clothes that just covered my body. And to be honest, I got quite depressed. And I was almost ready to just let it all go. But I just wasn't ready to give up on my Butch dyke dream. So I knew what I had to do. I was going to book a ticket back to Portland for the next summer. And I was just going to check it out one more time before I gave up. So I did. And I booked that ticket back. And when I arrived in Portland, Moira was there at the airport waiting to pick me up. And she was leaning up against her like old beat up 90s Toyota pickup truck. And I got in that thing and I was so excited to see her. And I told her all about the year I'd had and all about the shitty experiences I'd had at the dyke bars. And you know, she had so much empathy for me. She tapped me on the back and she was like, oh, buddy. And she thought about it. And after a minute or two, she was like, right, I know exactly what we're going to do tonight. So we went back to Moira's house and we began the ritual of like getting ready to go out with each other. And, you know, we chose, and it was the middle of summer. So I was wearing like a button-up with short sleeves, and we'd help each other like roll the sleeves up on either side so they were even, and we'd put like pomade through our hair. And I remember her giving me this like masculine scented cologne to wear, which I'd never had before. And when we were just about ready to go out, we looked at each other and we gave each other a little high five, and we were like, yeah, we look like $1 million. Got back into that blue Toyota pickup truck and drove off into the sunset. And she turned to me and she said, Esther, I'm going to take you to the E Room tonight. It's Portland's longest standing lesbian bar, and I think you're going to love it. And that familiar sense of anxiety washed over me. Like, I wasn't ready to go back into those dyke spaces again. Like, I didn't just want to feel rejected and shit about myself. Like, that's not how I wanted to spend my time in Portland. But I thought about it, and I really trusted Moira, and I felt really calm around her. So, you know, against my better judgment, I was like, I'm just gonna let it happen. And when we got out at the E Room, I took one step inside and I looked around. And between the neon Bud Light signs and the pool table and like Melissa Etheridge blaring out of the karaoke room, I saw the most beautiful vision I'd ever seen. That bar was filled with butch lesbians, old ones, young ones, every age in between. There were femme dykes everywhere. There were even some of those Avril Lavignes I knew so well from back at home. But they weren't all standing around like being cool and glaring at each other. They were all interacting with each other and enjoying each other's company and like celebrating the space they had in life. It it just looked so much fun and so welcoming. And in that moment, like, my heart and my face must have just absolutely lit up, because when I looked back at Moira, she was just like grinning from ear to ear, and she gave me a little nod as if to say, like, you know, off you go, get in there. And so I did. And I walked over to the bar and I got a beer, and when I looked to my left, there was this woman giving me the lesbian stare, which is when a woman looks at you in a queer space for so long and so intensely that you're not sure if they want to like slap you across the face or make out with you. And I looked to my, like, behind my shoulders to make sure she wasn't looking at anyone else. And when I looked back at her, sure enough, she was still doing the stare. So I smiled. And she came over and she sat next to me, and we started talking and laughing and flirting and like having just a wonderful time. And moments later, her friends came and scooped her up and took her to the karaoke room. And before I could even get across the room back to Moira, another woman intercepted me and did the exact same thing. And that happened to me all night long. I couldn't get a second to myself. And it started to dawn on me that there was nothing wrong with me. There was nothing wrong with being a butch lesbian. And, you know, I didn't have to change who I was to try and fit into a community that just had a different value system. I just had to do a bit of detective work and find the community and the space that loved me and accepted me just how I was. And I still think about Moira all the time. We're still fantastic friends to this day. And I'll always be so grateful that she was like proud and brave and strong out there in the world as a butch dyke, because it gave me permission to do the same. And now I can be a Katie Lang amongst any sea of Avril Lavigne's, beaming brightly for any baby butchers who might need to find their way. Thank you.
Wow.
Esther Godoy, everyone.
Esther Godoy, everybody. That was so fantastic.
Esther, I wish you could see all of these comments that are coming in. Everyone's in love with you.
100%.
Everyone's legit, like, falling in love with you.
I think my favorite comment so far was the E-room plus Aussie accent equals superpowers.
Amazing.
Folks, this has been such a fantastic night. Thank you so much for joining us. There were a couple other super chats that came in during Esther's story. We just wanted to thank Kyle. Thank you so much. That was super generous of you. Michelle, I think you've done it several times tonight. That's super amazing. Lady Lou, B, we love you. And Eric Herod also super chatted us. Eric Herod, who also helped us with some tech stuff in the past couple of weeks, figuring out how to get up online.
Eric's been a storyteller with us before too.
That's right, Eric. When we were at Mississippi Studios, he joined us there. Yeah, This has been a fantastic night. Esther, people are going wild for you. Applause, applause, applause. Let's see if we can bring up everybody on the camera to see if we can get everybody here to remember what a fantastic night this has been. This might be close enough. Everybody, we have Nicole up there. This is Reba and me, Dolly Dagger, Kate Mura, Esther Godoy. This has been such a fantastic night. We cannot wait to do the next live stream.
This is super fun. Stick around. We're having an after party right now. If you have questions for the storytellers or you just want to tell them how amazing they are, Nicole is still going to be moderating and communicating your comments and questions to the storytellers. We are just a few dollars away from me putting on some more. I could put on more costumes here, or I could just start stripping. I'm in favor of stripping. You just let me know with these super chats.
I'm going to make sure that we can hear all of the storytellers that you're seeing there on the screen.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Make sure, storytellers, that you're all unmuted.
Yeah, that is good there, and we're seeing.
You see, Dolly's got some beverage. Cheers, Dolly. You're fantastic. And
I know. I'm gonna just quickly grab a beverage of my own.
Yeah,
Can I show something to our British viewers and Australian viewers?
Sure. Yeah. What do you want to show?
It's a popular show in England and might be Australia as well. My Blackadder tattoo.
Oh, Blackadder.
Mm-hmm. He rides a pitch black steed.
Forgive me for not knowing.
Dolly has done a costume change.
Is that the show that Rowan Atkinson was on also?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Do you know that my son is kind of named after him?
All right.
Excellent choice.
Michelle,
Riv-
thank
Riv-
you so much for the
Rivers-
super chat.
River's middle name is Rowan because of
Oh,
Rowan.
nice.
Yeah.
And yes, I did do a costume change. It's my lounging robe.
You
Everybody,
look good.
thank you so much for. Yeah, I just want to respond to everybody in the chat. And Michelle, thank you again for another super chat. This has been such an incredible night, and it's, especially when we didn't know how this would go.
I'm gonna start stripping. Is that okay?
I mean, I think a lot of people in the chat are in favor of that.
I'm gonna stay for the after party. I can't even add it up. I'm in such shock how many people contributed to the super chat. I honestly didn't expect that at all. So we're really, really grateful. As we noted before, this is our full-time job. I know a lot of people do the arts as a hobby because arts aren't necessarily regarded as a full-time job or as a career, and we're lucky enough that it is our career. And right now we are essentially out of a job. So, but we love gifting, and we wanted you all to feel like a sense of a community here, and so we're just really, really grateful. This is really amazing.
Absolutely, Papa D, you are awesome. Adam, we are so grateful that you are here from Australia. Reba, people are in love with you.
What? No. I see my sister, Christine, says, Esther, heart, it's just about finding the space in people who love you as you are, being yourself and loving who you are, and having the confidence to strut your stuff. Acceptance is so sexy. That's from my sister in California. My best friend says, great show and great adaptability to make this happen during these weird times. Proud of you guys. Oh, thanks.
Thank you
Thanks,
all.
Hannah.
Graham Fuller with his pound sterling, thank you so much. If you have any questions for us or for any of the storytellers, and Esther, I just want to get one more plug in for you because we normally plug people after the stories. We did have up on screen during your story, your Instagram, and butchisnotadirtyword.com, but if you all don't know, check out butchisnotadirtyword.com for the magazine that Esther founded and edits. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And Kate's website?
Kate's website is katemura.com. And Dolly is just in the world.
You can find me on FetLife if you like. Dolly_Dagger, capital D's.
Look
for Dolly on FetLife.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole Mystery Box Show. Kristen Wright. Thank you. A tip for the show. Oh, you're so slow. Oh. Kristen has a full-time job as a Medicaid geek. I really appreciate art. It's so important, and I particularly enjoy our sexy artists. Thank you,
thank
Kristen.
you. And thank you, Kristen, for the work that you do. That is awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Nikki. Thank you.
Sorry, we're just reading.
Yeah.
We're just reading. We should read out loud.
No, that's I've always loved Nikki's last name, Nikki Squirtalakis. I hope I'm saying that right, but I think I am. Yeah, I like.
Do you know Nikki?
I like Greek names.
You just know that last name. I've never heard that last name before. Dawn wants me to strip.
No. I mean, your body, your choice, women's autonomy, and everything. But.
Well, perhaps we should all take a bow.
That's a great idea. How do we take a bow from seated position?
I don't know, y'all, but we are $70 away from me stripping.
Are we?
Yes. Nicole keeps texting me our dollar amounts. Some people are saying they can't figure out how to do the chat, but they're watching, so they're texting me. This is fun.
By the way, we've also seen over the course of the night some new patrons come in at patreon.com/mysteryboxshow and some PayPal from the website. So thank you for everybody who's contributing to us that way. It really does mean a lot to us to be able to continue this show, and your contributions help with that, as does anybody who's ever subscribed to us or told somebody to check us out. So thank you.
Yeah, how do I strip? You can tell I'm not really practiced in this. Here, I'll show some leg. How's that? I'm gonna show some leg. We're at.
Really seems like people are having to twist your arm to do that.
We're at $1,210. We hit $40 more, and that's the next level up. Do you know what's actually funny? I asked the storytellers before we began. We have this code. I used to be a barista, and I would, when we had a drive-through window, and when I would work the drive-through, I would wear really low-cut shirts because, like it or not, I would get better tips when I would wear low-cut clothing, but sometimes it was a little too low-cut, And the code, my coworkers would tell me if like I was revealing a little too much, they would say, Black Hawk down, Black Hawk down. And I asked the storytellers to tell me tonight, hey, if you can see my bra, let me know. Text me Black Hawk down. But it seems like now y'all want to see Black Hawk down.
Wow.
It's got a super chat from Andrew
It never
Rhodes.
occurred to me to
Thank
say
you,
stop.
Andrew.
Sorry, say that again, Dolly?
It never occurred to me to tell her to stop.
Amazing. We're at $1,230. $20 more dollars. $20 more dollars, and what will I do?
Oh, and Dawn, thank you again from the hubs. Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you, Dawn.
That's fantastic.
All right, here we go.
I'm surprised nobody has
what is
questions.
happening? What is
Well,
happening?
I'm not going to strip, but this dress is, I had to safety pin it closed because it really is super revealing. Here, I took my safety pin away. You can see my bra a little bit. That's how I'm going. That's as far as I'm going. And the hubs, you're fantastic. I'm not complaining with what I've seen tonight. Reba and Dolly agreed. Thank you.
From Michelle
Michelle's
again.
donating to my stripping fund.
Michelle, who I've seen been struggling with apparently the value slider all night long. Aww.
Amazing. So this is really awesome. Everything that you're contributing tonight is going to help us. I'm kind of guessing that normally we would have a June in-person live show on stage. I'm guessing that's not going to happen. I'm guessing that live stream is going to happen for June as well. So
Yeah.
all of your contributions tonight are making it possible for us to bring more storytellers to the table. We really believe in compensating our storytellers financially. We believe that art is a job, and we want to pay people for their gifts. And so all of your contributions are going to our storytellers and our future storytellers, and to the rest of our staff, and to
Hey,
the holy fucking shit, Kay.
oh my goodness.
Kay is my husband-in-law. Kay is my wife's husband.
We have to thank you in a special way somehow. Thank you so much, Kay, and thank you, Chantel, who says that that you guys are amazeballs. I never know whether it's amazeballs or amazeballs. I feel like amazeballs.
Amazeballs, yeah.
Wait a second. It sounds like there's different opinions. So one at a time. Esther,
Amazeballs.
Kate,
Amazeballs.
Dolly.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Oh. Nicole, opinions?
Nicole,
Oh,
letting me know
amazeballs
there's a
for sure. But
question
there
for
is
Kate.
also a question for a storyteller.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's a question for Kate, if you're comfortable answering. Adam was wondering how long you were with your graveyard partner after the graveyard incident.
We were together for a total of 3.5 years.
Oh.
So
Wow.
after the graveyard incident, after the graveyard sex, about a year and a half. 2 years.
Wow.
Oh, well, thank you for answering. I mean,
And in fact, just a little button. We're still dear friends, and I let him know that I was telling this story tonight just to make sure he was okay with it.
oh,
Oh, that's fantastic.
I think he's out there watching right now.
I doubt it.
You know, we often get asked that, whether storytellers check with the people they're telling stories about. And honestly, like we hope that everybody acts in an ethical way if they can't reach the people that the stories are about. We try not to let too much demonization happen. But we know of a couple people who are like Kate and her graveyard partner, still friends and do get permission, and that's always cool when that happens.
Someone
Yeah.
says here they're having a hard time hearing us. The performers are louder than us.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll just have to cast our voices. We'll have to use our
We'll
projection.
have to project.
Yes.
It's not because the mic is way over here.
That's how they're able to hear the storytellers.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Yeah, thanks for all of your patience as we're trying to navigate all of this. We did multiple tests, and we've been on top of the all of the tech stuff, but it's still new for us. So thank you for your patience. Can you adequately hear us now? But honestly, this is the time for the storytellers to continue to shine. So we'd love for you to talk to them and for them to talk back to
There's
you.
another-
Isa or Isa. Oh, go ahead.
A couple questions for Esther. One, if you're still in contact with Moira, and then another question, if you go to Proud Mary in Northeast Alberta area.
I am still in contact with Moira. Her and I are still like best buddies. Proud Mary's, yes, I've been there. Yes, it's fantastic. And yes, I think somebody asked up there, totally still living in Portland. Wouldn't have it any other way.
Papa D says, I want to buy a Rodecaster Pro so you guys can pipe all the audio in from anyone and everyone. Oh, that's really kind, Pop. Even just for the suggestion. We will get this audio stuff figured out. I, as part of my freelance, I'm a videographer, so I'm not completely unfamiliar with the tech stuff. This live streaming situation is a little bit new to me, but not so new that I can't figure it out, especially after troubleshooting stuff that we've learned tonight. But we hope it was still enjoyable for everybody else, even with some of the hiccups that we've had.
Yeah, it looks like Adam Smith really enjoyed it, and if he could get a job and a visa, I'd move to Portland tomorrow. Adam, are you in Australia?
Adam's from
He's our
Melbourne.
Australian viewer.
Comes to Portland once a year.
Why is that true?
Yeah, Adam, why do you come to Portland? Answer us after the 50-minute delay between our camera and YouTube.
Papa D says, for Dolly, your look is smashing. Love it.
Well, thank you. Of course. Is there a question that goes with that, or?
Nope, just a compliment.
Okay, well, that's thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, Dolly, we love your stories. Yes. Do you feel the same, I love myself today?
Oh, sure. Yeah, like I said, that feeling stuck with me. Sure. I mean, I might not be as enthusiastic about it as I was when I first started to feel it. Like now it's more like, yes, this is who I am. And now it's more like, yeah, this is who I am. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I still feel the same way.
Mm-hmm. As you should.
Adam says he comes here every year. Started with the Portland Zine Symposium, and since then just to be back in Portland. Portland is pretty special.
Yeah, I love Portland too.
But so many other places are special too. Like, Reba really taught me to love traveling. I've been places, but until I met Reba, like, she showed me places I've never been before. I'd never been to Europe before I met Reba. I'm trying not to make it all Portland centric.
It's okay, Portland's cool. How do you all choose the story to share? That's from Kathy. Kathy, that's a really good question. So, you know, folks pitch stories to us, and sometimes they're like, I don't know what to share. And the advice we usually give is, well, what story resonates with you the most? What means the most to you? And what we look for in stories is really stakes, which means like what keeps the audience enticed, the point of the story, so to speak. We often say that the trick to our show is that these stories aren't really about sex, but they're about human connection and relatability. Would you say you want to speak to that?
Actually, I was curious about the storytellers. If we can go one by one, if you're comfortable. Why did each of you settle on this story to pitch to the Mystery Box Show? So yeah, I see. Let's go Dolly, then Kate, then Esther.
This particular story, I had a very hard time with it. Like the first two stories that I told, those just kind of fell out of me. It was easy. I knew I wanted to tell another story. Like my first story was about my origin story, basically, and I knew I wanted to kind of do a continuation of that and like say like I didn't live happily ever after. No, it was still a struggle, and I had a vague concept of what I wanted to say, and I really didn't get the story that you heard until like a few weeks ago. I relied heavily on Nicole and Reba and Eric to tell me that what I was saying was a good and interesting story, because I had more faith in them than I had in myself for this story. But yeah, I mean, this wouldn't be the story that you seem to enjoy without them.
Oh, that's kind.
Oh, thank you, Dolly.
How about you, Kate? Why this story?
So Mystery Box has been on my radar for a while, even though this is my first time sharing a story with y'all. As Reba said earlier, we know each other from the Portland theater scene, and those of you who know me in person know I love talking about sex, and I am not shy about it in the slightest. When it, just happens to come up in conversation, it's just not normally what I do in front of, large audiences of people. And having sex in a cemetery at midnight has just always been a really excellent story.
It's a pitch that gets attention.
Yeah, like just being able to say that tagline of like, yep, I lost a virginity in a cemetery at midnight is already a like, but I'm gonna echo something that Dolly said of how the story that I pitched had a very different arc to it than the story that you all heard. And that very much came from the intentional work done. And it was fascinating for me to learn what really piqued people's curiosity, because they were the parts of the story that I didn't, that in my first sharing of it, I glossed over. Like all of the witchy stuff, I glossed over because I've been a witch for so long now that that's just who I am. And so it never even occurred to me that was the piece that they were like, wait, what was that? Wait, what do you mean you cast a circle? What do you mean there were spirits? What? And I was like, okay, we'll follow like that thread more deeply. Mm-hmm. And so
I think that's a really fun part of the collaborative. Mm-hmm. Is that we as storytellers are so close to what it is that we're sharing that sometimes we forget that the outside perspective is vastly different. And so within that collaborative, being able to pull out things that like you don't recognize, oh, that's interesting to other people. And that's a really fun part of that collaborative coaching process is like, well, what do people want to hear? So we often talk about like our lives don't happen in story form. And so it really kind of is just, figuring out as a collective, what do we think our best guess is that like universally speaking, people want to hear about. And it's usually the thing that represents connectivity, like we were saying before. It's just really all about connection and relatability and, this witchy stuff is some people are already like, yep, I'm fully on board about that. Please speak more to it. And some people are like, what are you talking about? Please speak more about that. But it's already just a part of what your nature is. And really, like I was saying, like that's the kind of trick behind this show is like, what is human nature? What is the human aspect of sexuality? And that's really what we want to hear. And oftentimes when we're pitching a story or we even come to this show, our expectations are, oh, we're going to hear about fucking and it's going to be a hot turn on. And that's like the icing on the cake. The deeper side of it is that connectivity and all of those interesting human parts about it.
Esther, you've been patiently waiting. Esther has been one of the hardest workers on her story that we've encountered in a long time. What made you land on this story when you decided you wanted to share a story with us, and what was the journey there?
I had come to one of the Mystery Box shows earlier, and this is actually like kind of a funny story, which I won't talk about for too long, but I come to one of those shows and I was like, wow, that was so cool. I love that so much. And then like in my daily meditation practice, I was doing this visualization about like, what it would be like to tell a story on that stage. And then like a couple of months later, these guys reached out and like slid into my DMs on Instagram and asked if I wanted to tell a story. And I just thought that was kind of cool. And then I pitched a story originally about like having sex in a bathroom at Chopsticks too. And there was so much packed into that story, and the context of all of that story was like coming to Portland, why I landed in Portland, how I even arrived here. And it seemed like there were almost like 4, 5, 6 stories in one in that original pitch. So I spoke with those guys, and we pulled out the one that made the most sense for this show and ran with that. And yeah, that's one of my favorite stories to tell. It was so formative, and I think it's like a really important story and experience and message for like all kinds of queer people out there to hear.
Right on. Well, it's been fantastic working with all of you on these stories, and I think like Reba was saying, and Kate, you intimated this, and Esther, you just did as well. To see where the stories start and where they end up is just so fascinating. I mean, it's one of our favorite parts of the show is all the coaching that we get to do both together, and when Nicole joins in as well. It's a fantastic team. By the way, thank you, Alan, for the super chat. Quickly shooting up to my favorite spellings of Alan ever, Allyn. So I may just change my name to Alan just to spell it that way.
You're gonna just change your name?
I might.
I changed my name.
That's true. You did.
That's true. People don't know that. My name's Reba Sparrow. That's my stage name. It's my legal stage name. But I changed it regardless.
Oh, are we being visited by a special guest?
I'll bring Beatrice over.
For everybody still sticking around?
So this is Beatrice, Mabel, Bumblebee, Kitten, Meow Meow.
This is Dolly, who's excited to see you. This is Kate and Esther.
Hello.
Hello.
I loved watching you climb on their shoulders earlier. It was one of the tidbits that I think only those of us in the Zoom room were able to see. But
yeah, Beatrice is the love of our life. She's all cuddled here right now. But she likes to get on shoulders and just sort of relaxes there. She's a very unique kitten.
By the way, Papa D, I'm flattered. I'm very flattered.
What did you say? What did they say? Thanks to everyone here for making that amazing. What they say?
Just a shout out that Eric is a sexy beast and that the two of you complement each other wonderfully. Do we
Can we get a survey here? So, for as long as I've known Eric, which has been 7 years, he doesn't like body hair at all, and I like body hair a lot. And this is quarantine beard that I'm very happy about, and he's like, I don't want it. I don't like it. Anyway, I'm into the quarantine beard.
There's a question from Corey, and I saw a similar question earlier. So for the storytellers, what's it like telling a story from home rather than in front of a live audience? And this is a great question since all of you have had stage experience. Dolly at the show, and Kate, you're an actress, and Esther, I know that you do live speaking as well.
You know, honestly, I felt the same that I was in front of a live audience. When you're up there on that stage, it's just like you go into a trance, and it's like it was very, very similar.
Interesting. Kate, how about you?
For me, the biggest part that was different is dealing with the audience. I agree with what Dolly said about the focus, and really I was working to envision you all through my camera and have my energy go out and touch all of you in the same way that I would on stage. But in part because so much of my acting background comes from an improvisational and commedia dell'arte background, I tend to, in all of the work that I do, unless it's, scripted, have a lot of give and take with the audience. So for me, the biggest difference was I wasn't hearing your feedback, so consequently didn't change any little bits or nuances of my storytelling to incorporate what you were giving, at least on a on a fully conscious level. Who knows? Maybe on a like spiritual, magical, metaphysical level, I was able to, which would be really kind of awesome. And I don't know that there's any way to, know or figure that out. But yeah, that was the biggest difference for me as a storyteller.
Yeah, one thing that we talked about to all of you storytellers is that once we are able to gather again live on stage, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't invite you back to tell this story, a different story or the same story on stage again. There's no protocol for a pandemic, so normally we don't repeat stories. We do repeat storytellers, as you know. Dolly's been with us for 4 stories, with a different story every time. But having that experience on stage and on camera is totally different.
I do want to get that same question to Esther in just a moment, and then also throw it to Reba. But I also wanted to thank Kristen. Kristen, thank you so much. That was a super generous super chat, and what you said was beautiful, and we're really grateful. We're hoping to survive past this thing as well, and just carry on into the future.
Yeah, I want to shout out to Roger Rabbit as well, who keeps commenting here. Roger Rabbit, are you the same Rabbit that I know from Portland?
I think so. He said he misses you at Deviance.
Oh, okay, yeah, same guy.
Hi, Roger.
Oh, Dolly knows Roger also.
Yeah.
So Esther, the public speaking that you've done, what did you find the difference tonight, sort of speaking into a bit of a void?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, I actually put a Post-it note over my face so I couldn't see myself talking, because that was actually really and one thing I do actually like about speaking live on a stage is that the lights are usually so bright that you can't see anyone anyway. So you kind of just go into your little special place and do your thing. And it wasn't too dissimilar to that with the Post-it note. But yeah, I think that was really the hardest thing for me in terms of speaking into the void. I'm like here for that. I'm good with that.
Okay. Esther, I have a question that just came in via text. Some folks are having trouble with the chat. So a friend of mine is asking, how did Esther come up with Butch is not a dirty word, and how was that curated?
Was the second part of that question, how is it curated?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that whole magazine was born out of essentially the story that you just heard. I think that I came back, between Portland and Australia many, many times before I moved, and the attitude towards masculinity in women amongst the queer community there was really different than how it is here on the West Coast or in the States generally. And I found that just to be like such a formative lesson for me to learn in that way, that it didn't have anything to do with me. I wasn't any different when I was in America. I wasn't any like more or less attractive, funnier, smarter, cooler, anything like that. It's literally just the environment I was in. And so I would rack my brain trying to think, like, what am I doing wrong? Or, like, what am I doing right over there? And, like, how do I, like just trying, always blame yourself. And then it took a long time. And when I finally realized it was environment-based and community-based, I think that, like, I had been given such an accidental gift by being able to travel other places in the world and have connections with other queer communities that I wanted to like create that experience for anyone that didn't have the ability to travel or to so easily go into another community. So the magazine was about sharing not only my experience, but getting other people to speak to their same experience around the same thing, because I think that makes it powerful. And I didn't want anyone to just take it from me. I wanted that truth to sort of be presented in a way that was collaborative. And it was only supposed to be one, like, kind of little coffee table book. And then the response to it was so huge and, like, so out of control that, I don't know, I just started to do another one, and we're up to issue 7 now.
Nice.
And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I didn't really have any experience in writing, photography, or magazine curation. I don't know, I just like learned as I went, and it's been like really successful, and I'm super grateful and really happy to get to share that space with other cool people.
That's awesome. May it be the 7 first issues of a long, long, long run.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody's commenting on Nicole's knee.
I saw that. I was wondering if your leg
you
was just
wearing
like
some-
bent backwards, like you'd been in some sort of like football injury.
I'm just sitting in a
It seems
chair.
like some injury. Are you wearing some sexy fishnets?
Yeah.
There you
Got
are.
a fun pattern on them.
Oh, Michelle says thank you for being essential.
Oh.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. And we see that people are piecing out. It might be getting a little late where some folks are. If you need to go, of course we understand. It's been fantastic having you here. We're going to hang out, I think, on the live stream for about 5 more minutes. And then...
I have a question. Esther, is Moira watching?
I did send her the link. Moira has a young baby who is taking up a lot of her time. So I hope she watched. She might not have, so I might have to give her the playback.
Okay.
But I think she would very much like to hear that story.
Oh well, if she was, I was going to tell her that I went to elementary school with one of the bartenders at the E room.
Oh yeah.
I was wondering if she might have known her.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, and speaking of the replay, for those of you wondering, we are going to have a replay available on YouTube.
Awesome. Right on.
Absolutely.
We'll have that. Do I see Beatrice Meow Meow back?
Are we going to be able to share this, share stories? Are these recorded?
Yeah, so YouTube is recording this whole thing, and including the chat, by the way. So you'll be able to go through and see what everybody has been saying and see them applauding you.
That's
Good, because I love that.
There'll be a link for that. We can get to everybody. That'll be available shortly, I would say. I think YouTube allows you to do a little bit of editing, and I might edit out the parts where I forgot to turn the volume up when we were talking.
Good idea.
There's a lot of moving parts. You did a really good job.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Normally we'd have a crew. We'd have a dedicated sound person. We'd have a front of house person. We'd have our house manager, which is Nicole. We'd have our stage manager, which is me, and our hosts, which is us. We'd have all these people and all this crew. So right now, I mean, we did this whole thing with Nicole and Eric and myself, when normally it would take me to have 3 camera people. All the people, I can't even do the count. Maybe there'd be like 10 people.
Some low overhead tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
totally.
Totally. But yeah, still definitely a learning curve figuring out all the jobs that everyone else usually does.
Well, thank
and
you,
does
Adam.
A fantastic job of doing so.
Props to Eric's vest.
Props to Eric's vest.
This is the vest
Chris.
I wear when I want to look fancy. I just put this over a button-down shirt, and suddenly I'm ready for a dinner party.
This is the cat that I wear when I want to look fancy. Just put her on and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, Beatrice Mabel. Sad that this is almost over. You know what? I think that we decided we want to bring more content while in quarantine, and so I think we're probably, since this is our 8-year anniversary show, we were talking, and we have every confession card that everyone has ever confessed to us at the live shows, in addition to what just came in on the phones, and so. We thought maybe we would bring some content to YouTube of us reading those confession cards that didn't make it to stage, or that did and that you didn't get to hear globally. So
we'll still be here on YouTube and doing more live streams. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think our June show is definitely going to be streamed too, right?
And I don't want to spoil or jinx anything, but I think we've also talked about maybe even getting some shows in before then. Mm-hmm. We can talk about it. We haven't decided on anything. This isn't a done deal, but we might have the storytellers and the content, and this is just fun. I wanna point out a comment that's happening right now, just for Reba's sake, from Parvu Alexandru. Hello from Romania. Americans call Dracula Land.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
I think is that Transylvania? Is that sort of become Romania? I don't know the geography of Eastern Europe as well.
Where do you even see that? I don't even
Hello
see
from
it.
Romania. Americans call Dracula Land.
I'm a vampire, so we're in love now.
Cool to meet you.
Papa D, thank you. Maybe we may reach out. Let me do some research into what's been going on here tonight and figure things out. But that would be super helpful if we need to reach out to you. Cool. Well, I think we will end the live stream for tonight and hope to see you again another time. We're going to be reading through the confessions and pick out a winner. You don't need to have had your confession read out loud in order to win. So we'll be announcing that in the next day or two. We'll be in touch if you're the winner.
Yeah,
so
I
good
think we're
luck.
going to announce that on Instagram too. If you don't follow us on Instagram already, please follow us on Instagram. It's at Mystery Box PDX on Instagram.
Absolutely. And we will see you next time at the Mystery Box Show. Stay safe and healthy. Wash your hands. Stay inside. Save lives. Flatten the curve. Have a great night, everybody.
See you next time.
Bye bye.
Good night and good fuck.